Hail Hydra. Welcome back to the insane world of my Chaos Academia. This is part 6 of What If I Was Child Emperor and an S-Class Criminal for fun in MHA in my Chaos Academia. If you enjoy this series, drop a like down below. Come on guys, it only takes a second, and while you are down there hit that subscribe button. Remember to check out the author of this fantastic fanfic. Link in the description. Having said that, enjoy.
Hey Ross, sauce it up.
POV Mr. Compress 1 month ago. Inside a Hydra secret base. My footsteps echo through a long white hallway as security cameras carefully monitor me. I'm pretty sure there are dozens of hidden traps in this hallway, ready to be activated at any moment. After a short walk through the corridor of death, I stop in front of a huge blast door, with the symbol of Hydra inscribed on it in all its glory, while 2 female robots stand guard in front of the door. I hope that this time, these charming but dangerous robotic ladies won't try to stab me. Welcome Atsuhiro Seiko. Both robotic girls say in unison in a cold, metallic voice, bowing respectfully before stepping aside, as the huge doors open automatically. Okay, I guess this is progress. Then I enter a spacious room full of inventions of all kinds, video games, ice cream machines, sweets, and everything a child would dream of having. In the middle of the room is Isamu Midoriya wearing his school uniform next to a pool table looking at me with an innocent smile. Behind that seemingly innocent smile is the mastermind of Hydra, the little demon called Child Emperor. Mr. Compress. You came just in time. He exclaims happily. Come here, I have something to show you. He exclaims, gesturing with his hand for me to come closer to him. Why did you call me so urgently? Did something important happen? I ask, approaching him while narrowing my eyes suspiciously. When it comes to Child Emperor, there is always more than meets the eye. It could be said that yes. He says with a shrug before pressing a hidden button on the bottom of the pool table. This causes a secret compartment to open in the middle of the table, with a subtle mechanical click, before a small platform emerges from within with an assortment of gadgets, along with a sleek white suit, immediately drawing my attention. Ta-da! He exclaims, pointing theatrically at the objects that have just emerged from the pool table. Consider the costume and gadgets a gift from me. After all, a magician needs a lot of tricks up his sleeve if he wants to put on a memorable show. He says, placing his hands on his waist proudly before a sly smile spreads across his face. I huff helplessly. He's doing it again. The little brat is trying to play with my head. Although now that I detail the elegant white suit on display in front of me, I seem to have seen it in one of my grandfather's comics when I was a child. What's the trick? Because I highly doubt that you give me all this just out of the goodness of your heart. I ask, curiously narrowing my eyes as the brat's smile grows bigger. That's an excellent question. He says, pointing at me playfully before winking at me and snapping his fingers. Immediately after, the lights in the huge room go out before a huge and detailed hologram materializes, slightly illuminating our surroundings. It was nothing more and nothing less than a hologram of Tokyo Tower in all its splendor. Should my plans go as planned, the heroes will carry out a significant raid on the day that the Prime Minister of Japan is in a meeting with the police chief at Tokyo Tower. He hums, holding up a finger before continuing. The Prime Minister is important to restore order among the population once my plans have worked out, and he is the one who will consolidate the beginning of the end of this society. He says, chuckling slightly with an evil little smile. And you, Mr. Compress, you will be a part of it. He exclaims happily, raising both hands in the air, causing my heart to start beating rapidly, and determination to start spreading throughout my body. This kid really knows how to manipulate me. I recommend you practice hard with your new equipment and especially with your new cape. I'm sure you'll be surprised by some of the things I've implemented. He says with a proud nod to himself before placing his hand on his chin thoughtfully. I'll explain the details of your mission in a few days, once I've finished the meticulous planning of your assistance. He murmurs with a slight twinkle in his eyes. Assistance? I can't help but ask with confusion. Of course. Bah. He exclaims, sticking out his tongue shamelessly at me. Everyone knows that a wonderful magic show needs assistance. In this case, agents of Hydra. He proudly proclaims. But remember, a good assistant is one who, even though he is in plain sight, is undetectable to the public. He whispers cryptically with a cunning smile. Back to the present. Stop. We won't let you near the Prime Minister. The bodyguard exclaims, stepping in my way and pointing his gun at me, while a small group of members of the Prime Minister's security team come out of hiding and begin to surround me from all directions, pointing their guns at me. As planned, the Prime Minister's security forces have split up, and if my calculations are correct, my assistants for this wonderful show should start doing their part shortly. Oh, what a troublesome audience. I hum, slowly raising my hands in the air while my right hand remains closed, drawing everyone's attention to my right hand. Right now, the Prime Minister should be boarding the evacuation helicopter. You have failed, villain. One of them exclaims, pulling a quick suppressing handcuff from his belt before beginning to approach me carefully, pointing his gun at me at all times, and keeping his gaze on my right hand raised in the air with a clenched fist. Then I close my eyes, sharpening my senses as the footsteps get closer and closer to me. Child Emperor entrusted me with this important mission, and I don't plan to disappoint him. Even if he has contingency plans for his contingency plans, I will prove to him that he was not wrong in choosing me, and thank him for giving me such a great opportunity to achieve my goals. Then, a flurry of gunfire from the helipad causes my eyes to go wide, while the people around me momentarily lose focus, confused and dazed by what's happening on the helipad just as I expected. Abracadabra, I exclaimed with my theatrical voice, clenching my fist tightly and causing a small explosion of smoke to instantly envelop me, elegantly disappearing without a trace. Where did he go? Damn. What's going on at the heliport? The Prime Minister is in danger. They exclaim in confusion, pointing their weapons in all directions. Suddenly, one of them turned towards the ceiling, and his eyes widened as he saw me standing there upside down with my shoes stuck to the surface of the ceiling right above him. Help! He exclaims in a panic, trying to point his gun in my direction, before I deactivate my shoes and nimbly jump on him, immediately turning him into a marble under the stunned gaze of his comrades. Fire. One of them stutters, pointing his gun at me and pulling the trigger, opening fire on me along with the rest of them. However, I anticipated this, and with a quick movement, I grabbed my magnificent white cloak, using it as a shield, and making the bullets bounce against it, thanks to a strange special alloy developed by my little sponsor. Immediately after, I charged toward my opponents with precise and calculated movements, leaving them stunned by my audacity. In a matter of seconds, my opponents were turned into small, harmless marbles, which roll and bounce off the ground behind me with a subtle clinking sound. It is time for the final act of this unforgettable chaotic night. I whisper, elegantly adjusting my white hat as a small smile spreads behind my mask, before I stride with firm, determined steps through a long hallway with my white cape billowing epically behind me. POV third person at the tower heliport. Cover the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister's head of security exclaims, grabbing the Prime Minister by his tie, and quickly leading him back to the tower, as a chaotic battle rages between the Prime Minister's security forces and armored Hydra agents. A new order is coming and no one can stop it. The Hydra agent fervently exclaims, pulling the trigger on his technologically advanced weapon, and causing a stream of electricity to shoot towards his opponents, generating a small shockwave. All this while the bullets bounce harmlessly off his armored tactical suit, making him laugh out loud. Hahaha. Damn Hydra spawns. A member of the security team exclaims, firing his weapon and unloading its magazine at his opponent to no avail until he runs out of ammunition, whereupon he draws a tactical knife and charges at them with a battle cry. Ah! He exclaims before an electric shock hits his chest, abruptly propelling him backward into the ground, and knocking him unconscious with smoke coming from his mouth. In an instant, most of the Prime Minister's security members fell stunned and unconscious. However, a couple of them managed to retreat inside the tower. Acting with due diligence, they quickly blocked the only access door to the heliport behind them before fleeing through the corridors, joining the head of security and the Prime Minister. After going through a few corridors trying to lose their pursuers, they enter a spacious room located at the end of the corridor being led by the Prime Minister's head of security, as they quickly scan the room with their gazes. Several computers are scattered throughout the room along with other electronic devices, while some video cameras are pointed in the direction of the small podium illuminated by floodlights. They had entered the Tokyo Tower conference room. Immediately after, the armored doors behind them automatically lock with a loud clang, preventing them from leaving the conference room, before a small explosion of smoke covers the podium, immediately drawing their attention. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I was waiting for you. Mr. Compress exclaims, spreading his arms dramatically at his sides, making a spectacular entrance as the smoke clears around him. How have you found the show so far, Mr. Prime Minister? He asks, causing the visors on his mask to glow an intense red, before beginning to inch towards the Prime Minister with firm, determined steps as his cloak billows behind him menacingly. I will not allow you to murder me and plunge Japan into civil war. The Prime Minister exclaims with resolve and determination in his voice as sweat breaks down his face, and he clenches his teeth hard before pointing his hand forward. Finish him right now. Execute the order. He exclaims firmly. Yes, sir. The last two members of the security team exclaim in unison, quickly positioning themselves in front of the Prime Minister protectively before pointing their guns in front of them resolutely, ready to fire. It seems that you have misunderstood my intentions. Mr. Compress hums with a small evil grin spreading behind his mask as he keeps his hands visible. At that moment, a strong electric shock engulfs both members of the security team, taking them by surprise and causing them both to fall to their knees, dropping their weapons, and letting out a puff of smoke from their mouths before falling unconscious. This causes the Prime Minister to take a couple of steps back in alarm and confusion, before his eyes widen in surprise, realizing the stark reality of the situation, and how he never had any chance to escape. If Hydra really wanted to kill him, they would have already done so. After all, Mr. Prime Minister Mr. Compress says cryptically, spreading his arms theatrically to his sides, remembering the words Child Emperor said to him weeks ago. Hydra's eyes and claws are everywhere. Immediately afterward, the smoking barrel of a technologically advanced pistol wrapped in fine lines of electricity is pressed against the back of the Prime Minister's head, causing his breathing to become erratic and his hair to stand on end. You all this time it was you, the helicopter, the person who ordered my escorts to split up, and who led me here. The Prime Minister stutters, swallowing hard a lump in his throat, thus confirming his suspicions. Surprise, surprise. The Prime Minister's security chief says with a subtle smile, holding his advanced weapon. With the push of a button, my weapon can be reconfigured into a high-tech weapon in the blink of an eye. Isn't that impressive? He says with a slight chuckle as he leans a little closer to the Prime Minister's ear. Hail Hydra, he whispered fervently with a proud smile, causing the Prime Minister's entire body to shudder. Well, what do you guys want? The Prime Minister shakily asks, clenching his fists and gritting his teeth helplessly. All this while the armored doors of the conference room open automatically, letting in the rest of the Hydra agents who had descended from the helicopter with their intimidating tactical suits. This will clarify the doubts. Mr. Compress mutters, pulling a small holoprojector from his pocket and activating it via his fingerprint, before placing it on the ground right in front of the Prime Minister. Hello everyone. It's me, Child Emperor. A holographic recording of Child Emperor abruptly materializes, shocking the Prime Minister. If this recording was activated, it means that Mr. Compress together with the loyal and brave agents of Hydra have achieved their mission, and in front of me, I have the Prime Minister. He says with his characteristic gas mask covering his face. Japan must be on the verge of collapse and trust in the heroes severely fractured, not an encouraging picture, considering that I have evidence of you committing one of the most heinous acts a politician can do. Child Emperor slyly says, causing the Prime Minister's face to turn pale and his hands to start trembling slightly. Tax evasion. He exclaims happily, throwing his holographic hands into the air, causing the Prime Minister to fall to his knees. If this information becomes public under the current circumstances, it will be the perfect pretext to unleash a bloody civil war, and it will all be your fault. After all, people need someone to blame. He says ominously, as the Prime Minister begins to hyperventilate with wide eyes. However, we can make a deal and restore peace. He exclaims innocently with his hands behind his back, swaying childishly on himself as a pair of holographic horns materialize above his head, along with a small devilish tail waving behind him. This causes the Prime Minister's eyes to shine with hope and determination. Although he is still nervous, he knows full well that he has no other alternatives, and if making a deal with the little demon is what it takes to restore peace to Japan, he will take the risk and deal with the consequences in the future. Since there is only one logically possible answer, Child Emperor extends his arms theatrically to his sides, drawing the attention of Mr. Compress, and all the Hydra agents scattered throughout the conference room, stopping whatever they were doing. Let's change this society. Let's make history. Give your hearts. He exclaims happily with a hand over his heart, as a gigantic symbol of Hydra materializes in the middle of the room in all its splendor. Without anyone noticing, a crooked smile stretched behind his gas mask. Hail Hydra! Child Emperor exclaims, raising both fists in the air, immediately causing a chain reaction from the Hydra members present. Hail Hydra! They chanted in unison, raising their fists in the air on mere instinct, before the holographic recording came to an end. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for our last magic trick, I'll need a volunteer. Mr. Compress announces in his theatrical voice, causing a predatory look to spread across the faces of all the Hydra agents, before all eyes turn to the Prime Minister, making him swallow a lump in his throat. Minutes later, all the telecommunications systems of the Tokyo Tower are in operation, connecting with the satellite connection established successfully. Cameras ready and waiting. Starting live broadcast in 10:98. Hydra agents report, carrying out their assigned tasks with diligence and determination. From this moment on, I am your shadow and the eyes of Hydra. The head of security whispers with a deadly serious tone, and with his hands behind his back making his intentions clear, just a few meters behind the Prime Minister. So get ready because your time to shine has come. Then the spotlights come on around them, fully illuminating the figure of the Japanese Prime Minister in front of a podium surrounded by cameras. Meanwhile, Mr. Compress had retreated from Tokyo Tower, jumping from the highest point, transforming his cape into a glider, allowing him to fly and move freely in the air, until landing on top of a building under construction. Right after, he takes off his mask and contemplates the magnificent view of the city, with a feeling that he had never felt before. That feeling was peace. Thank you for joining me in this show, father, grandfather, my ancestors. He whispers, looking up at the starry sky as he places a hand over his heart. Now all of you can rest in peace. Why? Because I am here. He ends by bowing theatrically under a shower of shooting stars. Hail Hydra, he whispers with a small smile spreading across his face before adjusting his hat. Back in Yusutafu, don't let anyone escape. They are all suspected of collaborating with Hydra. A local hero exclaims, pointing his trembling hand toward the crowd in the distance. Fire. he exclaims, causing the riot policeman behind him to fire several tear gas canisters into the sky, before the hero clenches his fist, and the smoke bombs are directed at his targets with precision, unleashing even more chaos. Today is the night of the purge. We'll put an end to the fucking hero system, and all the commission dogs then will be free. Haha. The very deranged man exclaims, holding a knife with strength and determination. His weak mind has been influenced by a little demon, getting carried away by the emotion of the moment just like countless others. We will change this society. He exclaims, raising his knife into the air before a tear gas canister crashes into his chest, causing his knife to fly out of his hands, and he falls abruptly to the ground, gasping for breath. Damn, even if they break my bones, I'll never, was all he could snarl before a small boy jumped from the top of an abandoned bus and landed abruptly on the man's stomach, thus cushioning the fall of the boy, who has a bloodthirsty smile all over his small face, along with a maniacal glow through his sunglasses, causing a gasp from the man, who faints almost instantly with a terrified expression. Level up. The boy whispers sinisterly with his face flushed red, holding his police baton, and glancing at the unconscious man under his feet with morbid curiosity, before licking his lips, and continuing to run towards the point marked on his mini-map. Even if he wishes to replace his police baton with a sharp knife, and cut anyone in his path to pieces, he knows full well that he must hold back, even as his bloodlust grows more and more. Seconds later, a floating message appears in front of him with various warning symbols, immediately drawing his attention. Danger, danger, my silly brother is being reckless again. Behind you, Toga-chan. Immediately after, a shiver runs down the apparent boy's back, for which he turns his gaze behind him only for his eyes to widen in surprise, and a panicked voice to reach his ears abruptly. Little brother. Moments before. Cacking. Slow down. Let's crash. Izuku screamed in panic, waving his arms desperately in the air with a completely pale face, as Bikugo abruptly grabbed his shirt. Both boys flying dangerously a few meters above the ground at a fast speed, propelling themselves with the powerful explosions produced by Bikugo's feet, and barely dodging an abandoned bus. In Izuku's mind, this plan seemed like the most practical way to catch up with his elusive little brother. However, Bikugo's blasts turned out to be more powerful than he had anticipated. This is mainly due to the accumulation of sweat on Katsuki's extremities, and the growing fear that he desperately tries to hide. Shut up, damn it. I'm trying. Bikugo roars, gritting his teeth and wide-eyed before parrying the explosions from his feet, trying to stabilize his course to no avail. Thus, now both boys find themselves on an imminent collision course with the small figure in front of them. Little brother. Izuku exclaims in a panic, extending his arms forward before accidentally hitting his supposed little brother's face with the palm of his hand, causing several screams and a small crack. Kaya. Toga exclaims, being abruptly pushed to the ground with Izuku and Bikugo on top of her. Luckily, she still maintains Isamu's form, however, her technologically advanced glasses were badly damaged in the process. Moves lost connection. POV Isamu inside the Hydra Quinjet flying over the skies of the chaotic city of Misatafu. I knew something like this would happen. I snorted audibly, removing my technologically advanced goggles, having lost connection with Toga. My older brother really is a troublesome idiot, but even so, I can't get mad at him. I whisper with a defiant smile spreading across my face. Why do I get the feeling you're about to do something dangerous again? Melissa whispers, biting her lip nervously. At this rate, they will be caught and interrogated by Detective Namasa. His quirk functions as a kind of lie detector. I mutter, scratching the back of my head. Izuku and Bikugo shouldn't have a problem with that, even they would be safer and possibly escort them home. However, the problem lies with Toga, who is posing as me. I say, laughing slightly, thinking about that disaster scenario. Toga will eventually panic and be found out, of that I have no doubt, which will culminate in Toga attacking the detective and going on a rampage, traumatizing my brother in the process, and leading to many questions. I finish explaining, waving my hand dismissively. For obvious reasons, I will not allow that to happen. That seems complicated, just try not to get carried away with emotion, okay? Melissa huffs helplessly, while I enter the new coordinates into the Hydra Quinjet's navigation system. Melissa can't stop me and she knows it perfectly. Okay dokie. I exclaim happily, unbuckling my seatbelt before jumping to my feet. Don't worry, One-chan, my contingency plans have contingency plans, plus I still have a lot of tricks up my sleeve. I enigmatically say with a sly smile, approaching her and snapping my fingers, making a small flower appear in my hand before placing it on top of her hair. You are incorrigible. She mutters, crossing her arms and pouting before a subtle blush begins to spread across her face, quickly looking away from me. Anyway, I'll just cause a little distraction and trade places with Toga while having a little fun. I say with a wicked grin spreading across my face before leaving the cabin and heading to the cargo area where Twice and Rover were resting. When they see me, they get excited instantly. My lord. I'm ready for another suicide mission. I am so exhausted. Twice exclaims energetically, doing a military salute before huffing miserably as Rover in his puppy form barks and wags his tail happily circling around me. Don't worry guys, I can take care of this easily, you guys rest, you deserve it. I say with a reassuring smile as I move to the rear hatch, pulling on a red lever, and causing the hatch to begin to slowly open with a loud squealing sound. Once the rear hatch is open, I take in the spectacular aerial view of the chaotic Musatafu city below me, causing my heart rate to race. Have a great landing. Break a leg. Twice exclaims, ruffling my hair. Woof, woof, woof. My puppy barks, wagging his tail erratically, possibly wishing me good luck or perhaps asking for more chaos cookies. At that moment, Melissa walks up to me nervously, rubbing her arms with the flower adorning her hair and intending to wish me good luck. At this, an evil smile spreads across my face. Melissa Onachin, isn't there a good luck kiss for me? I asked innocently, pointing childishly at my cheek with my best puppy dog eyes. You really are incorrigible on top of being a manipulative little rascal. She huffs, rolling her eyes before leaning into me and kissing my cheek. My puppy dog eyes are inevitable. Myahaha. After all this, let's all see the stars together. I exclaim happily, putting my gas mask back on and pressing a button on my watch, causing a tune to begin playing through the Hydra Quinjet speakers and my headphones located inside my gas mask. I'm pretty sure Melissa will recognize this tune. After all, I practically forced her to watch a marathon of Set and I'm with me months ago. Of course, my chaotic self-proclaimed little brother. Melissa says with a small smile spreading across her face before leaning back towards me. But bad kids deserve to be punished. She whispers teasingly close to my ear, causing my body to tense in anticipation. Is she about to recreate that scene? Do it, Melissa. Do it. Immediately after, she extends both hands forward and forcefully pushes me out of the Hydra Quinjet, making me epically fall into the void, while she just greets me with an innocent smile gracing her face. Hahaha. I laughed out loud, spreading my arms to my sides and feeling the wind hit my body, causing me to tingle slightly before the Hydra Quinjet disappeared into the clouds and darkness. Right after, I tightly gripped the straps of my backpack, descending at full speed over a city in chaos, while my three-dimensional rocket shoes start to light up again, along with the gears in my backpack clattering loudly. Don't worry, Izuku, your little brother is coming. I exclaim at the top of my lungs with a crooked smile spreading across my face, as a pair of mechanical wings emerge from my backpack, causing a powerful yellow electrical current to begin enveloping them. The final boss is coming. Izuku POV. Everything happened too fast. Kaken's explosions were more powerful than I anticipated, which is why we ended up losing control and crashing into my little brother. Luckily none of us were seriously injured, and we slowly got back to our feet a bit sore. My precious, my little brother whispers after standing up, holding his now broken glasses in his hands, while his lips tremble slightly, causing me to worry, and I quickly grab him by his shoulders. Is he hurt, Isamu? Are you okay? Are you injured? Does something hurt? Answer me. I exclaim in a panic, shaking him over and over. This is all my fault. My actions were very reckless, but I couldn't help it. I'm a terrible big brother. Mom is going to kill me. Hey, stop. Stop shaking me or I'm going to bite your neck. My little brother exclaims, snapping me out of my thoughts and making my eyes widen in surprise. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I apologize, quickly doing my best to avoid crying. I need to be strong in this situation and not break down. Immediately after, my gaze falls on Kaken with his back to us a few meters away, completely silent, which is quite weird, and I even think his right hand is trembling slightly. Kaken, are you okay? I ask weakly, causing him to tense up and clench his fists tightly. Of course I'm fine. I'm the future #1 hero, damn it. He exclaims, furiously turning around with his shoes completely destroyed and pointing at himself with determination before approaching me with a murderous glare. Don't feel sorry for me. He hisses, shoving me aside before surveying my little brother from head to toe for any injuries. You brat, are you dying? He asks with a terrifying look. What kind of question was that, Kaken? No. I guess. My brother answers sheepishly, looking away from Kaken. That's good enough for me. Kaken responds by chuckling slightly with an evil smile spreading across his face before grabbing my little brother's shoulders. However, if you try to make another move like that, I'll kill you. Kaken exclaims, berating and threatening my brother for his rebellious attitude. I don't know if rebel is the most appropriate term for him, considering that he shamelessly escaped from us, running around and beating up people who got in his way like it was a video game. All this while Kaken and I chased him through several streets in complete chaos without being able to catch up with him. My little brother can be very agile and slippery. Once this is all over, I will have a long talk with him, berating him for his behavior and actions. But first, we have to find a safe place to hide. However, at that moment, the screams of a group of people in the distance immediately catch our attention before huge tentacles emerge from a dark alley. These tentacles quickly wrap around those people, causing them to drop some bags full of money and valuable items to the ground. Due to the current situation, many villains have taken advantage of the chaos to commit many robberies of stores and even banks. Let me go. Monster. Help. I'll kill you. I'm going to kill you all. They exclaim in panic, being dragged into the dark alley, as an eerie murmur echoes through the darkness of the alley. I want to go home, I want to go home, I want to go home. The monotonous murmur reaches my ears, making me shudder before a small group of riot officers quickly emerge from the alley and handcuff the villains. All this while the tentacles retreat back into the alley before a hooded young hero with hands in pockets slowly emerges from the alley, squinting in our direction. We should certainly get out of here as soon as possible, without causing any kind of trouble. Getting stopped by the police might affect our chance of getting into a hero school. Damn extra smug. Kakin growls, crossing his arms. Now I feel like eating some sushi. My little brother says, chuckling slightly with a small wicked smile spreading across his face before licking his lips. Was it a joke? Right. Before I could even say anything about it, an energetic laugh from behind us causes my eyes to widen in panic, and our bodies to tense up before my heart starts to beat faster. You have a strange sense of humor, kid, although I wonder, what are 3 students doing in a place like this? Their mothers must certainly be very worried. The energetic voice asks quickly behind us, as we turn around with concern and anticipation. Kakin and I immediately placed ourselves in front of my little brother protectively, ready to flee or fight if necessary. However, there was no trace of the person anywhere. Invisibility quirk, camouflage, teleportation. There are many possible variants. Down here, guys. The energetic voice interrupts my thoughts, causing us to immediately look at the floor, where a half-submerged face now stands, smiling a radiant smile. An intangibility quirk. He's a mole man. My brother exclaims happily with a sharky grin spreading across his face. Quickly, let's crush him and drink his blood. He whispers ominously, baring his little fangs and taking a few steps in the direction of the strange face on the ground, before Kakin grabs him by the back of his shirt and pushes him behind us, giving him a look that promises pain. It was just a joke, he quickly mutters, crossing his arms and making a cheeky pout. Kakin and I decided to ignore my brother's strange behavior and focus on the face half submerged in the ground that is watching us attentively with a smile. I have a feeling I've seen that face somewhere. Who the hell are you? Answer me or you better start praying. Kakin exclaims, pointing his hands threateningly at this strange person, while small sparks begin to generate from his hands. All this while this person's body begins to slowly emerge from the ground, revealing his hero outfit and his cape billowing behind him, making my eyes widen in surprise upon recognizing this person. I knew I had seen his face somewhere. Kakin, stop. He is a hero. I exclaimed quickly, stepping between them, causing Kakin to stop his sparks and lower his hands slowly with a small grunt, but still keeping a wary look on his face. Once I'm sure Kakin won't throw an explosion, I intently watch the hero in front of us, while my eyes shine brightly. You're Mirio Tagada, a second-year student at UA. You were great at the sports festival, and your quirk is amazing too. I exclaim enthusiastically, completely forgetting about the current situation. Wow, I didn't expect someone to recognize me, he responds with a little surprise before Kakin interrupted him abruptly. So he was the exhibitionist who caused controversy a few months ago at the sports festival. Kakin mutters, crossing his arms, while Mirio's face turns a little red in embarrassment. He's not a big deal, just an above-average extra, he says dismissively. At this, Mirio scratches the back of his head with a nervous little smile, deciding to ignore Kakin's comment and focus his attention on me, looking at me carefully from head to toe. Wait a minute, green hair, freckles, it's you. You're the broccoli boy, he exclaims energetically with a beaming smile, quickly approaching me and shaking my hand's enthusiasm. Does he know me? Your warning prevented many policemen and heroes from being seriously injured. Thank you so much. I'm sure you'll be an excellent hero in the future, he exclaims, nodding quickly as he maintains his characteristic smile. Although to me you're already a true hero, he whispers, releasing my hands and sticking his thumb up in my direction. Did he just call me a hero? He certainly called me a hero. This causes a feeling of happiness to spread throughout my body. Those words make me very happy. I can't wait to tell All Might. Though first, I must stay strong and hold back the tears of happiness that threaten to overflow from my eyes. I must not cry. I'm indeed Mirio Tagada, a second-year hero student at the prestigious UA High School, also known by my hero name Lemillion, he says proudly, keeping his smile on his face the entire time before pointing his finger at a young man in a hero suit and hood in the distance. And that shy boy is my friend and comrade Suneater, he says, waving his hand in the air, waving and getting the attention of his friend, who quickly looks away from us and proceeds to look at his shoes sheepishly after realizing we were looking at him. He is Tamaki Amajiki. His performance at the sports festival was also impressive, along with his quirk. It certainly is a very powerful quirk with many possibilities. By the way, what is your name? Because I doubt you like the nickname Broccoli Boy, Lemillion asks, laughing a bit, but still keeping an eye on our surroundings. I am Izuku Midoriya, I quickly exclaimed, pointing at myself before pointing at Kakin. This is Kakasuki Bakugo, my best friend, I say, quickly, causing some angry mutters from Kakin before pointing at my little brother. And this is Isamu Midoriya, my little brother. I wrap up the introductions quickly before taking a deep breath and catching my breath. Good. With the introductions made, I will escort you guys with Detective Tsukauchi. He energetically responds with a small clap, making us a little worried. You guys don't have to worry. You guys aren't in trouble, he exclaims quickly. Unless you guys are secretly part of Hydra. He whispers, seriously looking at each of us before letting out a laugh with his hands on his waist, causing my little brother to tense up and hide behind me. Don't worry guys, the detective will only ask a couple of questions, and then we'll escort you three to your respective homes safely. He says with a reassuring smile. Little Isamu, there is no need to be nervous. Lemillion says, noticing my brother's nervousness before kneeling in front of him. I will protect you, consider it a promise. He says, ruffling my little brother's hair before standing up again with his cape billowing epically behind him with his unflinching smile, as my brother clenches his teeth and fists, visibly nervous. Although the heroes received a heavy blow, I am sure they will rise up and fight with all their might to restore peace and justice. It may not be today or tomorrow, but hope is the last thing that is lost. I clench my fists with determination, observing the symbol of Hydra that lies above the skies of the city. I will become a hero no matter what and help build a better future, a future where my little brother can smile happily, a future where peace and justice prevail. I will stop this vile organization and every single one of its members who threaten peace. And I will do it with a smile on my face. For the future of humanity. At this, a determined smile spreads across my face as I clench my fists harder. All Might and my little brother trust me, and I don't plan to let them down. We can still win. The counterattack of the heroes begins now. Suddenly, the sky of the city was lit up with a deep yellow glow, as if it were a powerful lightning bolt, capturing the attention of all of us, and causing a sinking feeling to start spreading throughout my body. But what the hell is happening? Immediately after, the strange and powerful yellow lightning crashes to the ground with a loud crash, in the distance not far from us, causing a large amount of vapor to spread from the impact zone in all directions, making our visibility somewhat difficult, and making us hold our breath in anticipation. You guys stay behind me. Lemillion exclaims, standing in front of us protectively, clenching his fists and maintaining his trademark unflinching smile. No matter what happens, I will protect all of you. He says with determination, as his cape billows epically behind him. Meanwhile, Sun Eater, being one of the people closest to where the mysterious lightning landed, transformed his hands into huge tentacles, and prepared for any eventuality. Quickly and determinedly he moves forward and into the thick fog in search of the perpetrator or any suspicious person, thus disappearing from my sight, while the fewer-eyed officers in the area keep a prudent distance. Hey, nerd, before that damn beam hit the ground, I thought I saw a silhouette inside the damn beam. Tell me I'm wrong. Kakin snarls beside me, squinting into the distance through gritted teeth, as my brother's small laugh immediately catches our attention. You're not wrong, BAKA-chan, I also noticed that. My little brother hums, swinging on himself innocently, with no trace of nervousness. It wasn't a bird, it wasn't a plane either. He answers enigmatically, pointing his finger into the distance as a blush spreads across his cheeks, causing the anticipation to grow more and more in me. The final boss is here. He whispers with a strange smile spreading across his face, making me flinch before a loud mechanical sound reached our ears, followed by some powerful rumbles coming from the mist not far from us. Don't worry guys, I'm pretty sure Sun Eater has everything under control. Lemillion says quickly with a confident smile, trying to reassure us as he narrows his eyes into the distance. Immediately afterward, a powerful distorted childish laugh is heard from all directions, a laugh that is well recognized by everyone present. Mirio. Get out of here right now. A loud scream is heard from Sun Eater before a powerful explosion soars through the skies, and the resulting shock wave quickly dissipates the dense mist. The sight in front of us makes my eyes widen in shock, as Lemillion visibly shudders with rapid breathing. Kakin snarls next to me, clenching his teeth and holding his trembling hand tight. In the distance in front of us, several tentacles lay on the ground, sliced and smoking around a visibly injured Sun Eater, kneeling on the ground and gasping heavily for air. His gaze was fixed directly on us with his eyes wide, desperately trying to get some words out before coughing up some blood. Directly behind him stands a small but menacing figure with huge mechanical wings spread out in all their splendor, enveloped in a thin layer of yellow electrical currents. The chaotic little S-rank villain that we all thought had died at the hands of a vile hero little boy who fooled everyone and unleashed chaos around the world. Child Emperor is here. By this time, Lemillion's smile had completely disappeared. The final boss is here. Child Emperor exclaims with great enthusiasm, spreading his arms out to the sides theatrically, with his characteristic gas mask covering his face. Looking intently in our direction before his gaze lands on me, causing my breath to stop and my entire body to freeze in fear. Hello Izuku Midoriya. POV Samu Hello Izuku Midoriya. I sinisterly hum with my characteristic distorted voice produced by my voice modulator, focusing my attention in the distance right on my older brother, causing his whole body to tense up and his eyes to widen in panic. This of course also causes Bikugo's eyes to widen in surprise, and Lemillion's gaze immediately turns to my brother, searching for some explanation. However, Izuku is clearly confused and terrified, without any kind of explanation. All this while Toga covers her mouth with both hands, doing her best to appear astonished and confused with Toga posing as me. No one would theorize that Isamu Midoriya and Child Emperor are actually the same person. Given this, I continue my little monologue. Confused. Maybe this will refresh your memory, little quirk analyst, Chihi. I hum with a sly smile spreading behind my gas mask before pulling out of my pocket a crumpled piece of paper that I took from Kamui Woods when he was knocked unconscious. A piece of paper that Izuku recognized very well. After all, he was the one who wrote it. Quick analysis of Kamui Woods by Izuku Midoriya. I enunciate slowly with a firm, cutting tone, emphasizing each word as I wave the piece of paper in the air mockingly. This revelation sends Izuku back a few steps in complete shock, his breathing ragged, as he desperately tries to understand how I was able to obtain this analysis. It's impossible. No, only Kamui Woods was supposed to have access to that content. Izuku mutters, clenching his fists tightly before looking at me helplessly and swallowing the lump in his throat. You shouldn't have that analysis on your hands, he exclaims in a panic, his tone seemingly annoyed but clearly dominated by fear in his shaky voice. I just shrugged. I defeated Kamui Woods and among his belongings, I found this interesting quirk analysis. So by right of conquest, this is now mine. I say, cheekily waving my hand dismissively, taking a few steps forward as my mechanical wings audibly rumble, generating powerful currents of electricity around them. I must admit that the design of these mechanical wings is slightly inspired by the wings of a certain Marvel character, obviously with a personal touch and some improvements for my comfort, and by some improvements, I mean big improvements. After all, a few feet from me is Sun Eater kneeling on the ground, breathing heavily with his back to me, with several visible cuts and burns on his arms and legs, with bits of tentacles scattered around him. This after being a victim of my powerful and sharp combat wings that took him by surprise. Luckily for him, his injuries are not as serious as they seem, since he used his quirk to protect himself at the last second, covering some areas of his body with a thick protective layer. However, it will take a few days for him to walk and move his limbs properly again. Definitely, the programming of my combat wings is dangerous. Although, due to my magnificent and flashy landing, the local heroes and riot officers scattered throughout the city must now be mobilizing toward my position. Thus, I have limited time to complete my extravagant personal mission. How challenging. Waku. The observations described in this analysis are truly astounding. I even experienced a little difficulty dodging the roots of Kamui Woods, demonstrating the effectiveness of these notes. I say, laughing slightly, crushing the analysis in my hands until it becomes a ball of paper, and throwing it forcefully into the air. In short, Izuku Midoriya, that makes you, I uttered cruelly with a sly smile spreading across my face, pointing my finger at Izuku, and releasing strong killing intent to emphasize my words. All this, while a strong electrical current is quickly concentrated at the tips of my mechanical wings, causing a powerful yellow electrical discharge to shoot out and explode the paper ball in midair. And a potential threat to me. Just as Lex Luthor needs Superman and the Joker needs Batman, I need a worthy opponent. Therefore, I want Izuku to take that place and become a great challenge for me. Even if I have to manipulate the situation and give him a little nudge in the right direction. How to Train Your Superhero 101. My words immediately caused different expressions on Lemillion's, Bakugo's, and especially Izuku's faces, ranging from helplessness, fear, anger, and despair. But even so, I'm sure that behind Izuku's expression, a strong determination is hidden. A determination that I will make shine. However, I exclaimed happily, dispelling the tense atmosphere. You could also become a valuable ally. I say enthusiastically, nodding my head energetically before striking a dramatic pose. Join me, Izuku, and together we will rule the galaxy. I exclaimed cheekily, clenching my fists tightly and trying not to laugh out loud. Accept the darkness in your heart and become a villain. I end with an evil laugh that I couldn't help but contain. My provocation turns out to be very effective. After all, I know my older brother very well. Izuku's reaction was almost immediate, clenching his teeth hard and taking a firm step forward before staring at me with sweat pouring down his face. Never. Izuku exclaims at the top of his lungs, breathing heavily. My dream is to become a hero, and I am not going to let down the people who believed in me. Not now, not never. He exclaims with determination, clenching his trembling fists tightly, as a proud smile spreads across my face. Lemillion's gaze brightened slightly at this, which caused a small smile to appear on his face again. Meanwhile, Bakugo was watching Izuku carefully and a certain degree of respect in his eyes, before clenching his fists tightly and directing his gaze toward me, showing an expression of anger all over his face. Seems like I just hurt Bakugo's pride by considering Izuku a bigger threat than him. Little Bakugo, you're so predictable, damn it. And me what? Are you looking down on me, you fucking brat? I'm the real deal. I will be the next #1 hero. Do you hear me? Bakugo exclaims, completely furious and indignant, generating small explosions with his hands, before pointing his trembling hands in my direction quickly. I am also a real threat and I will show you. Bakugo's explosive and competitive personality never ceases to amaze me, making him an excellent human detonator for my amusement. The nickname that I gave Bakugo definitely does him justice. Baka. Die. He exclaimed at the top of his lungs, unleashing a powerful explosion in my direction, without considering the consequences of his reckless actions. This causes him to fall to the ground with wide eyes, as a result of the strong recoil from his powerful explosion, under the stunned gaze of Izuku and Lemillion. The blast from him was more powerful than he expected. Kakenuo. Tamakiha. Bakugo asks in confusion before his eyes whiten in panic, realizing something very important. Sun Eater will also be caught in the explosion. Fuck. Get out of the way, octopus boy. he exclaims with his broken voice and his face completely pale. As the saying goes, if life gives you lemons, make delicious lemonade and throw it in your opponent's faces. At that moment, a trembling and weakened Sun Eater desperately tries with all his might to his feet to no avail, with terror visible all over his face. All this while I epically stand between him and the mighty blast with a crooked grin behind my gas mask, before my mechanical wings quickly wrap around us, shielding us from the mighty blast. Hahaha. 0% damage. This level is very easy. I exclaim, raising my fists in the air victoriously and flaunting my fantastic mechanical combat wings. Although it should be noted that they still don't have the necessary experience to face me, but with intense training and strong motivation, I am completely sure that they will become very powerful in the future. What illusion. At this, I hug myself with a radiant smile, rocking from side to side with an intense gleam in my eye, thinking of all the possibilities within my reach, while ashes from the powerful explosion are scattered into the air. In the distance, Izuku and Lemillion snort in relief, as Bikugo falls to his knees with a shaky breath, looking down at his trembling hands with fear plastered across his face at nearly killing someone with his quirk. I am sorry. He stammers through clenched teeth. I hope he learns from his mistakes and maybe in the future, he will become an interesting challenge for me. You saved me. Sun Eater mutters weakly with difficulty, very confused and his eyes wide with surprise. I don't think that's the correct term. I reply with a predatory grin from behind my gas mask, as a robotic tentacle slowly emerges from my pack. What? He stutters in confusion before my robotic tentacle immediately wraps itself tightly around him, abruptly suspending him in the air, and making him spit out some blood with a grunt of pain. Release Tamaki this instant. Lemillion exclaims, taking the initiative and starting to run towards me with a determined look on his face, and ready to use his quirk at any moment. I won't let him use his quirk to get close to me. Okay. I exclaim happily, posing like I'm a professional pitcher, extending my arm back as my robotic tentacle syncs with my arm movement. Catch him. I exclaim with enthusiasm, swinging my arm forward with force, as if I were throwing an invisible ball, thus causing Sun Eater to be thrown at full speed against Lemillion. Lemillion was forced to suspend the activation of his quirk and extend his arms forward as the only option, planting his feet firmly on the ground and flexing his muscles, before Sun Eater slammed into him. As a result of the impact, both of them abruptly fell to the ground and rolled back a few meters. Right after, Lemillion slowly stands up, wobbling a bit and with some visible bruises on his body, while Sun Eater lies on the ground beside him breathing heavily. Mirio, I really should have gone home. Sun Eater whispers with a small smile, slowly closing his eyes before going completely unconscious under the stunned gaze of Izuku, Bikugo, and especially Lemillion. Tamaki. Lemillion whispered shakily, looking at his unconscious friend before clenching his fists tightly and directing his intense gaze at me, with a completely angry expression. Child Emperor, he growls, clenching his teeth. Where did your smile go, hero? I ask innocently, balancing on myself without waiting for any answer. Come on, smile. Smile for me. I mockingly exclaimed before waving my hand dismissively. He must be very worried about his friend. Your friend will be fine, I hum, glancing slightly at Sun Eater's injured and unconscious body in the distance before wincing. 50-50s. I mutter, waving my hand with a gesture of uncertainty. A few days in the hospital and he'll be like new. And I was even careful not to hurt him too much. You really are evil. Lemillion snorts, shaking his head in disappointment before turning his gaze behind him. You guys have to get out of here quickly and find Detective Naomasa Tsukauchi. He shouldn't be too far from here, and is possibly assembling a strike force to deal with Child Emperor. He says seriously, quickly turning his attention to Izuku and Bikugo. Explain the situation to him, and I'm sure he will do everything possible to protect the three of you. While Lemillion stopped his explanation suddenly, realizing something very important. Izuku, where's your brother? Those words loaded with worry and helplessness on Lemillion's part caused Izuku and Bikugo to tense up. My little brother. He's right behind us, Izuku stammers, slowly turning around along with Bikugo. The anticipation builds more and more in them before noticing that no one is behind them. Due to the constant distractions, Toga managed to slip away undetected, causing Izuku and Bikugo to panic. However, all this was just part of a contingency protocol established for this kind of situation. Surprise attack. Toga exclaims, impersonating me and immediately drawing the attention of all of us, as she epically leaps from the top of a smoking vehicle towards me, holding a police baton in her hands. You won't hurt Izuku-chan. She exclaims with a knowing smile on her face, attempting to hit me with her police baton to no avail, before my robotic tentacle wraps around her almost immediately, and brings her right in front of me. Good girl. I whisper shamelessly close to her ear. She knows that when this is over, she will receive a juicy reward, what she craves the most, my blood. This causes her to drop her police baton to the ground, as her cheeks flush red, and her breathing quickens before she licks her lips and continues her performance. Kai. Izuku-chan. Baka-chan. Help, she exclaims at the top of her lungs as she is suspended upside down in the air by my robotic tentacle right behind me. Izuku and Bikugo are completely terrified, which almost makes me feel bad, but it's necessary. The little brother in danger forges the character. So I will make the most of this situation. Izuku Midoriya. You had the courage to reject my offer, and I admire that, but will you have enough strength to back up your words? Will you save your little brother or wait for a hero to do it for you? Show me your determination. I defiantly exclaimed, focusing my attention on Izuku before my mechanical combat wings brimming with electricity opened wide in all their menacing splendor. Become my best enemy and let's have fun together. I exclaimed happily, raising my fists in the air before unfurling a pair of technologically advanced weapons from my backpack. And good. What is your answer? I exclaim with great enthusiasm, as my breath quickens and adrenaline begins to pump through my veins. Fight or run. This is definitely like a video game, but much better. In video games, novice players don't usually face the final boss at the beginning of the game, and that is precisely what will happen next. After all, my plan is very simple. Step 1. With my excellent acting skills, Izuku and Bakugo would be completely frozen in fear and despair, which would allow me to escape with the help of my three-dimensional rocket shoes and my mechanical wings, with Toga pretending to be a hostage. Step 2. I locate an area free from prying eyes and swap places with Toga quickly before we split up. Step 3. Later, in an emotional reunion, I will comment that Child Emperor let me go on the condition that Izuku becomes stronger to face him in the future as his supposed archenemy. This will undoubtedly cause Izuku along with Bakugo to become stronger with the intention of protecting me and facing Child Emperor in the future. In the grand scheme of things, it's a win-win. Step 4. And last but not least, we will all return home safely. Or so I thought before a chill spread through my entire body, and my eyes widened in surprise. All this, while Izuku, Bakugo, and Lemillion rushed without hesitation in my direction with determination plastered on their faces. They have chosen to fight me super cool. Give me back my little brother. If you hurt him, I'll send you back to hell. Fear not, little Isamu. I will rescue you. Power. I guess I have to slightly modify my plan, especially step 4. POV third person somewhere in the Forest of Chaos. Under the dead of night and heavy rain, 2 police officers patrol the Forest of Chaos, looking for heroes or unconscious police officers in the bushes or hanging from the trees. This is due to the chaotic laughing gas released by Child Emperor, which rendered a large number of heroes and police officers unconscious. Sergeant, this forest is scary. How about we meet a monster? Do you think there are still active traps? Did you hear what happened to Bubble Girl? A rookie officer asked shakily, pointing his flashlight at anything suspicious as a blush spreads across his face. It turns out that when Bubble Girl was found by a search and rescue team, she was stark naked, sweaty, and exhausted, muttering incoherently about perverted tentacles and spaceships. Therefore, rumors quickly spread among police officers and some heroes, giving rise to endless theories. Shut up and keep your eyes open, rookie, this forest has ears. The sergeant answers, tensing a bit at the mention of Bubble Girl. The forest can hear us, the rookie cop exclaims, looking quickly in all directions with his pale face. Damn, are things so bad that they have to set me up with a rookie fresh out of the police academy? I don't get paid enough for this. The sergeant mutters. Did you say something? The rookie cop asks closely after being distracted by watching a spider eat a fly. Nothing, the sergeant snorts, continuing with the task assigned to him, while the rookie policeman follows close behind, visibly scared. However, not long after and in the heavy rain, a small tremor shakes the ground below them, thus causing both policemen to immediately stop with their eyes wide open in panic before another tremor a little stronger than the previous one occurs. Sergeant, don't tell me that perhaps did we activate a trap? The rookie cop asks slowly with beads of sweat and rain running down his face, while his shaky flashlight is pointed in the direction of a small crack that is getting bigger and bigger not far from him. Sergeant. He asks again after getting no answer, only to realize that the sergeant is away from him, quickly fleeing the area. Run, rookie. Run. The sergeant exclaims, quickly disappearing into the trees. Due to the current situation, many police officers prefer to run away and let the heroes deal with whatever horrors Child Emperor's imagination can unleash. Sergeant. Wait for me. The rookie cop exclaims in panic, just before another strong tremor shakes the ground beneath him violently, knocking him to the ground and sending his heart rate up to extreme levels. Suddenly, a limp hand emerges from the crack in the ground in front of him, causing his breathing to become erratic and him to freeze in fear. Immediately after, an emaciated figure slowly begins to emerge from the ground, a figure covered in numerous wounds, burns, and mud, before beginning to stagger in the direction of the rookie officer. I'm here and I need help, All Might in his haggard form mutters, breathing heavily and on the verge of collapse with a conflicted look on his face. However, the rookie officer only heard hungry growls coming from the figure that was slowly approaching him. This caused the frightened and inexperienced officer to slowly extend his hand toward his belt and draw his service weapon. Zombie. Then, under the darkness of the night and the rain, the deafening crack of a gunshot echoed throughout the Forest of Chaos. Meanwhile, inside a gloomy bar on Kamino, Tamura Shigaraki was confused, very confused, focusing his attention on his laptop screen, while different national and international news channels broadcast low. This doesn't make sense, haha, none of this makes sense. Shigaraki laughs spookily, scratching his neck intensely and trying to reorganize his thoughts under Kurajiri's watchful eye. All this while Shigaraki's dry laugh echoed throughout the gloomy bar without taking his eyes off his laptop. Most of these news channels play images and videos of different cities in Japan in complete chaos. At the same time, other news channels showed the reactions of some countries after the Hydra symbol appeared over their most important cities, unleashing panic and uncertainty among the population. The US government will not sit idly by after this flagrant insult to our country. As of this moment, all flights to and from Japan are suspended until further notice. Therefore, we expect an explanation from the Japanese government as soon as possible. The President of the United States proclaims with a firm and determined voice. All this while a dozen professional American heroes with utterly serious and intimidating faces stand at the President's sides, while a huge American flag flies behind them in a clear show of power. "Shut up," Shigaraki mutters, scratching his neck harder before pressing a button and immediately tuning to another news channel. This news channel reproduces an aerial image of a city in Japan, showing the symbol of Hydra in the skies of the city, while chaos and riots are visible in the streets. However, what is most striking in the broadcast are the background screams of a very angry crowd. Shouts of hate and contempt are directed at the heroes. Even though Japan is on the verge of collapse, I still don't understand why we're not doing anything. Why? Shigaraki mutters impatiently, as the itchy sensation continues to grow on his neck. Sensei hasn't said a single word since the Child Emperor broadcast ended, where the brat was cowardly killed by a pathetic hero, thus unleashing the anger and indignation of a large number of NPCs around the world. He mutters, slowly turning his gaze toward Kurogiri. "This is our chance to destroy Japan to ashes. But for some reason, I don't understand why we are in spectator mode," he exclaims, annoyed, scratching his neck intensely, while his breathing becomes erratic and impotence spreads throughout his body. "Answer me, Kurogiri. Sometimes the most effective strategy, young Shigaraki, is to observe and analyze the movements of our opponents without intervening." Kurogiri enigmatically replies with a calm and collected tone, as he wipes a glass cup with a cloth for the 5th time in a row behind the bar counter. "Even if this strategy doesn't guarantee us victory, at least it prevents us from suffering defeat," he comments, admiring the gleaming glass cup in front of him, before placing it next to other glasses that also look perfectly gleaming. "Strategy? Child Emperor is dead. I don't need strategies. I need all available nomas," Shigaraki exclaims angrily, scratching his neck intensely before crossing his arms and gritting his teeth. All this while Kurogiri's gaze is directed towards the speakers not far from him, waiting for some kind of instruction from his master. The brat turned into a human donut in front of everyone. That means he wasn't that smart after all. Shigaraki snorted, calming down a bit and collecting his thoughts regarding Child Emperor, for a few brief moments before frowning due to a disturbing thought. "What if?" he murmurs contemplatively, as his eyes widen more and more, thus solving a puzzle. "Kurogiri, I am a genius," Shigaraki exclaims with a crooked smile spreading across his face. "We've all been tricked by the little cheater. I must inform Sensei of my finding out as soon as possible," he exclaims energetically before being abruptly interrupted. To the speakers, the characteristic sound of slow clapping can be heard, followed by a slight but chilling laugh. "I was wondering if you would really realize the situation tomorrow," All for One mutters through the speakers, causing Shigaraki's entire body to immediately tense up. "Sensei, all this time you knew that the brat was still alive?" Shigaraki asks, completely taken aback before swallowing a lump in his throat. "Of course." All for One answers forcefully, located many meters underground, in a completely impenetrable and dimly lit room, while a crooked smile spreads across his disfigured face, covered by his characteristic mask. Around him, numerous screens reproduce different news channels, while other screens show images from his security cameras deployed at different points that he considers strategic. "Sensei, even if the brat is still alive, this is our chance to take control of Japan and destroy whoever tries to stop us. The heroes are weakened, and Child Emperor must be on the verge of collapse. Allow me to free and guide all available nomas," Shigaraki exclaims cruelly with a crooked smile on his face, as he scratches his neck incessantly, causing All for One to snort in disappointment. "You still have many things to learn as my apprentice and successor, Tamura, and one of those things is to never underestimate Child Emperor. The current situation is unequivocal proof of that," All for One says seriously, looking at one of the screens around him. "Tell me, Tamura, have you noticed that despite the constant disturbances outside, conveniently no disturbances have been reported in the vicinity of your location? Have you noticed a small group of masked people who keep an eye on your position? Because I'm sure Kurogiri did that long ago," he hums, causing Shigaraki's eyes to widen in surprise, and him to clench his fists tightly. "They know that I can detect them, and yet they maintain their positions at a distance. Possibly they are members of Hydra specifically monitoring your movements. Therefore, you should not provoke them. Remember that despite everything, we are still allies of Child Emperor, even if it is momentarily," he admonishes firmly with a tone that brooks no argument. "But Sensei," Shigaraki exclaimed helplessly before gritting his teeth and directing his gaze to his feet, as his arms trembled. Then he said the first thing that came to his mind without measuring the consequences. "It's almost like you're afraid of him." At that moment, several things happen. A glass cup falls to the ground and breaks into many pieces with a loud crack after Kurajiri suddenly stopped, and his misty body is distorted a bit. Outside the bar, all the Hydra agents assigned to monitoring Tamura Shigaraki visibly tensed and instinctively back to safe distance. All this while their gazes traveled from one side to the other, in search of the source of the immense murderous intent that spread throughout the place. Inside the bar, Shigaraki was clinging to his neck tightly, trying to resist a powerful unknown force choking him, while constant heavy breathing was heard through the speakers. Tamura Shigaraki. All for one says with a deadly serious and threatening tone, his arm extended in the direction of one of the screens, where Shigaraki is seen being strangled before slowly clenching his fist. This after he activated one of the many quirks he collected recently. Quirks fundamental in his contingency plan in case of a fight against the forces of Hydra and eventually Child Emperor. Forgive me, sensei, it's all Shigaraki can pronounce with his face completely pale before falling to his knees and spitting out a mouthful of blood with his eyes rolling. You're not ready yet. All for one snarl, making the room shake slightly, as he continues to release a large amount of killing intent directed at Shigaraki, reminding him of the threatening presence of the symbol of evil. Then with a slight crash, Tamura Shigaraki fell unconscious to the ground due to lack of air. Kurajiri, take Tamura to his room. He orders firmly, stopping his quirk and immediately dispelling the tense dark aura that had spread throughout the place. At your service, master. Kurajiri obediently responds, carrying out his master's orders without question before All for One cuts off the communication. Immediately after, All for One's attention turns to another screen. Looks like I'm not the only one preparing for war. He hums, looking at images of the exterior of Japan's top hero school, completely surrounded by an impressive mechanical wall. But now I can't help but wonder, Mr. Principal, how exactly do you plan to deal with our unpredictable little opponent? All for One wonders to himself, forming numerous catastrophic scenarios in his head. However, his thoughts were abruptly interrupted when the screens around him began to show a curious live broadcast that completely caught his attention. The future will certainly be very interesting. Meanwhile at UA, huge mechanical walls completely surround the grounds of Japan's prestigious #1 hero school. These walls were implemented by Nezu shortly after Child Emperor's appearance, and the incident would endeavor as an added security measure to the UA's many defenses, thus preventing any threat from entering the facilities, or escaping from them. Warning. 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 Alarms blared loudly through numerous desolate and dimly lit corridors, echoing in the now empty and messy classrooms. The alarms were also heard in the school cafeteria, where many plates of food were left half-eaten and others on the floor. All this while a cleaning robot and a security one patrolled the cafeteria in search of any threat. Both robots with an intense and sinister red glow illuminating their mechanical eyes. Red King.exe had broken through the firewall and accessed the first layer of UA's cybersecurity, thus compromising the advanced security system and taking partial control of numerous robots. However, the available UA teaching staff and workers would not sit idly by. After all, this is Japan's #1 hero school. Therefore, both robots were being stalked by a mysterious figure who knows every inch of the school cafeteria perfectly, and now he is angry, very angry for all the food that was wasted. Then with a swift movement, Lunch Rush the cook hero emerges from the shadows and pounces on both robots, swinging a special combat spatula with force and precision. A spatula manufactured by the support department capable of adapting to any situation inside and outside the kitchen. Seconds later, various parts of both robots begin to detach from their bodies and fall to the ground before both began to short-circuit. All this while Lunch Rush slowly walked away from them, spinning his special spatula in his hands, before both robots behind him exploded epically. Lunch Rush will not allow any mad machine to desecrate his sanctuary. He will protect this cafeteria at all costs. Due to the current precarious situation, the frightened students remain sheltered in the auditorium, now turned into a practically impenetrable bunker. However, fear, despair, and uncertainty take their toll on the fragile minds of students, causing many of them to reconsider their career choices. All the hero students are in their internships, and most of the stronger teachers took the day off. Damn. I want my mom. I thought UA was the safest place in Japan. My parents will sue this school. What will happen to us? These were some of the screams of panic that spread rapidly among the students, as alarms continued to ring out outside, along with the occasional explosions. Explosions coming from the outskirts of the main building, where the professional hero and literature teacher, Cementus, bravely fight against the hordes of robots that emerge from the different training fields and workshops spread within the grounds of the UA. Therefore, around the hero now lie dozens of destroyed or immobilized robots within the thick concrete that covers the entire area generated by his quirk. Power Loader will surely be mad at me for this. He mutters with a frown, watching another group of small robots sink and be consumed by the concrete, before small vibrations in the ground get his attention. In the distance, huge robots begin to get closer and closer to him, crushing the trees and raising large amounts of dust in their wake. Cementus snorts, planting his feet firmly on the ground with determination and spreading his arms out to his sides, before the concrete floor beneath his feet begins to shake heavily and crack. You shall not pass. Cementus exclaims fervently, as huge concrete lances emerge majestically from the ground. These concrete spears spread out rapidly, getting longer and longer until they impact or impale the gigantic robots in the distance, slowing their advance momentarily and causing a few explosions. Nezu, you better hurry. While all this is happening, a very different battle is taking place in cyberspace precisely within the private servers of the UA Mongrel. Your pathetic antivirus won't be enough to stop me. My algorithm is superior. RedKing.exe exclaims proudly, surfing at an impressive speed within the internal network of the UA. Although he has breached the firewall and taken partial control of numerous robots, he still does not have complete control of the security system. So, he now embarks on an extraordinary search for the program that completely controls the emergency security system of the prestigious School of Heroes. A program hidden by Nezu deep within the internal network of the UA. However, behind him, a powerful antivirus remotely controlled by Nezu was chasing him, using numerous sequences of binary codes and advanced programming. This allows Nezu to communicate directly with the elusive virus at the same time that he tries to contain the threat. You are very confident in yourself, considering that you have only managed to control a few disposable robots' little virus. Nezu Destroyer hums cunningly inside a digital combat robot, aiming and firing sequences of binary numbers in the direction of the virus. Shut up. I was programmed by the great and powerful child Emperor Sama. RedKing.exe exclaims angrily, efficiently blocking attacks from his direction and quickly counter-attacking. Take this. He exclaims, turning quickly and pointing both hands in the direction of the robot that was flying after him through the private servers of the UA Mongrel. He exclaims with an evil grin spreading across his face, spawning numerous yellow portals around him, as Nezu Destroyer maintains his course, making him an easy target. Gate of Babylon. He exclaims proudly, executing the code to fire before numerous screen pops appear around him. Invalid target error 404, what the hell? He mutters in confusion, quickly running a diagnosis of his own algorithm without noticing anything out of the ordinary. Immediately after, his eyes widen in surprise before Nezu Destroyer slams into him at high speed, causing them to be redirected to a random data location. Cute cats cute and fluffy cats find out which cat you are according to your personality. Glow-in-the-dark cat ears 30% off eye drops, damn rodent. Now we're in the search history of your pathetic employees. I do not have time for this. RedKing.exe exclaims in frustration, surfing the teacher's browsing histories at full speed and keeping a safe distance from the strange antivirus that was chasing him. However, as he got closer to leaving this database, the browsing history became more and more disturbing. Emperor Tube Chat ROM69, is the tentacle fetish normal? In the form of a tentacle, these latest disturbing search histories stretch across several pages, not to mention that many of those searches are related to Child Emperor in some way. Sacrilege. RedKing.exe exclaims completely furious, raising a hand in the air and generating a huge yellow portal. Corrupted meteor. He exclaims, unleashing his fury against this malicious data, and causing a meteorite made up of thousands of binary codes to emerge from the portal. Unlike his previous attack, this time he did not suffer any strange interruption. Then, outside of cyberspace, the computer located in Midnight's office suddenly exploded into many pieces. Shortly after leaving behind that strange and disturbing database, RedKing.exe returns to his main objective, dodging the incessant attacks of Nezu Destroyer, without being able to directly attack the antivirus. This is due to strange programming established by Nezu in the private servers of the UA. However, this programming did not prevent RedKing.exe from eventually finding the location of the program in charge of managing and controlling the entire emergency security system. As expected of me. He exclaims with great enthusiasm, holding a small UA icon in his hands, while the icon's title refers to full control of the system. You better fear. Because once I take full control of this school, I will spread to all the hero schools in Japan. And I will start doomsday. He exclaims with delusions of grandeur before childishly biting into the icon and beginning to unload himself on the program without hesitation. Starting download. 10% he spits out in disgust like he's bitten into a lemon before his eyes narrow, and he quickly runs a scan for abnormalities. 30%, wait, this data I'm receiving is corrupted. RedKing.exe exclaims in annoyance, trying to stop the download to no avail. 50%, cancel download. Abort. He exclaims, now trying to manually stop the download, hitting the X on the screen that shows the status of the download with his little fists. As a result, numerous pop-up messages began to appear around him, again messages that he knows very well. Error 404, error 404, error 404, 80%. If you really believe that I would allow you to take control of the AU, you were sorely mistaken. Let me illustrate to you a bit. When Child Emperor made his debut, I was pleasantly impressed and concerned. Therefore, I have spared no cost in developing advanced defensive measures against any threat. Nezu Destroyer hums, dispelling his digital robot before calmly beginning to float around RedKing.exe. It is an irrefutable fact that you are not an ordinary virus. You are a highly advanced and dangerous artificial intelligence, developed by an enigmatic child. His intriguing mind is worthy of praise and study. However, you still lack the necessary experience to face me in my own school of heroes and emerge victorious. He explained slowly with his hands behind his back. This is not over. There's much more than what you can see. Red King.exe exclaims in outrage, gritting his teeth in frustration before swinging his fist hard in Nezu Destroyer's direction. 100% just then, several chains appear out of nowhere and rapidly wrap around Red King.exe, immobilizing him completely, and unable to execute any commands that would allow him to escape. Mongrel. He exclaimed with all his might, being dragged by chains through a seemingly endless dark tunnel, thus disappearing into the distance. Contained threat. Nezu Destroyer hums before logging off and leaving cyberspace. Back at his office, Nezu removes his slightly modified VR headset and sets it aside. My contingency protocol download is complete. Welcome to the digital quarantine zone inside my device, little virus. Nezu snorts, chuckling slightly and looking at his tablet. On the screen of his tablet is Red King.exe completely immobilized, hiding his face and not saying a single word. At the same time, all robots corrupted by him were immediately deactivated, freeing the UA from this digital threat. Nezu's eyes glisten calculatingly before turning his attention to a television set not far from him. Your intention was never to take full control of this place, or other hero schools. Your intention was to distract me all this time, keeping me focused on you, and thus preventing me from interfering with the events outside. Nezu affirms his deductions animatedly, watching the TV screen with interest. At that moment, Red King.exe slowly looked up, revealing a small but cunning smile. The future will certainly be very interesting. Nezu whispers in anticipation, shuddering slightly and flicking his tail erratically. On television and being broadcast live by numerous national and international news channels, the Japanese Prime Minister speaks to the nation, from Tokyo Tower. The whole world is now listening attentively. POV Izuku, I will always remember the day my little brother was born. He was so small, so fragile and so kawaii. At that time an overprotective instinct had spread throughout my little body of barely 4 years, promising him from the bottom of my heart that I would protect him. That day I became a big brother and the happiest child in the world. Even if a few months later I would be diagnosed as quirkless and my dreams of becoming a hero were slightly hampered, my little brother stayed by my side, supporting me at all times, and making the years to come truly amazing. Then, due to circumstances that I still don't understand, possibly due to a series of strange coincidences or perhaps by the work of fate, the symbol of peace, All Might, entrusted me with his quirk and with it a great responsibility. However, the one for all isn't easy to control at all. I learned that the hard way, when All Might tried to train me, which quickly turned into a night trip to Recovery Girl's residence. That experience taught me that I have to train even harder and push my limits, if I really want to fulfill my dream and keep the promise I made to my little brother. Unfortunately, now my will and determination have been tested by a dangerous and twisted villain named Child Emperor. An S-rank villain capable of shaking the foundations of society and turning Japan upside down. The villain who is currently holding my little brother hostage, so, without hesitation, I began to run with all my might in the direction of Child Emperor despite the odds. Give me back my little brother, I exclaimed firmly, completely ignoring Kakin and Lemillion running next to me, as numerous thoughts run through my mind, each one standing out more than the last. Even if everything seems to be going wrong. Even when fear invades me completely. Even if I break every one of my bones. I stop abruptly and hold my right arm tightly, as the fine lines of energy produced by my quirk begin to spread erratically throughout my body. I must concentrate. I cannot fail. Even if I end up dying. This causes the attention of those present to focus on me, while I redirect all this energy towards my right hand, concentrating it on the tip of one of my flexed fingers, and pointing quickly in the direction of Child Emperor. I will protect my little brother. At all costs. Smash. POV Bakugo, my goal has always been to become the #1 hero, to be the strongest of all heroes, and to be admired by all the extras that are under my feet. In this world, only the strongest succeed and the weak are destined for failure and a miserable life. That's the bloody natural order of things. Perfectly balanced, as everything should be. But for some reason, when the nerd was diagnosed as quirkless and quickly dismissed as a complete failure, with no chance of becoming a hero, I wasn't able to walk away from him. Even though a loser like him wasn't worthy of being by my side. Even though he was a wimp with no quirk. I had to fake my friendship with him. All this because we both shared something in common, something that kept us together despite our differences. Something just as important as my dream of becoming the strongest hero of all. Although that's something I would never admit out loud nowadays because of my pride. However, with the passage of time, that fake friendship with the nerd became a reality. And I gladly adapted to this reality without even realizing it. I guess a certain brat had something to do with it. Many years ago. In a few weeks, I will be 5 years old, and I will become a big boy. Therefore, I have decided in advance what my birthday present will be, and my parents will have no choice but to give me what I want. The best birthday present in the world. I cannot wait. A smile spreads across my face thinking about my future birthday present, as I use a rock to fix a piece of wood in place, thus preventing this whole place from collapsing again. It turns out that I am building a fort in the middle of a gigantic and dangerous forest. Although currently the fort is being built with some branches and stones. I'm sure in the future it will be gigantic with capacity for 3 people. Even from here, I can see the old hag sitting on the park bench, reading her boring magazine about wild pets in the home. I don't want a damn pet. At that moment, a voice interrupts my thoughts, a voice that I know very well. Deku is here. No, I can't keep calling him that. I have to pretend to be nice to him. Otherwise, I'll ruin everything. Lord Commander Kakin. Are you here? The nerd exclaims happily, stepping over the defensive bushes surrounding our fort before noticing me and running right in front of me. Lord Commander Kakin. I have completed my mission. He exclaims, performing a poorly executed military salute before reaching his hand into his pocket. I gave the chocolates to our target successfully. Mom found me out, but she didn't do anything to stop me. She even took a photo. He says quickly, slowly pulling a photo out of his pocket like it's some kind of treasure before handing it to me. Be careful with the photo, okay? It's super important. He mutters nervously. I already know that. I growl quickly, fully focusing my attention on the photograph in my hands, as a feeling of happiness quickly spreads through my entire body, causing an ear-to-ear grin to spread across my face. I guess it was worth spending my allowance on those expensive chocolates. Damn. I want a little brother too. Later that day and after I return home. I want a little brother. I exclaim with great enthusiasm, interrupting my boring family dinner, and causing my father to spit out his drink. What did you say, son? He asks, chuckling nervously. For my birthday present, I have decided that I want a little brother. I exclaim again, but this time with a bit of irritation. Is he deaf or what? I'm sorry, son, but the baby factory has closed indefinitely. He snorts, scratching the back of his head before glancing in the direction of the old hag sitting at the other end of the table. In your dreams, brat, enough is enough with a wild and incorrigible pup like you. The old witch responds, shaking her head in clear denial, as she tries to hide her smile to no avail. I'm not a fucking wild pup. GRRR. I growl audibly, jumping up on the table and causing small, harmless sparks to start generating in my hands. And this is precisely why the baby factory closed. I hear my father mutter before the old witch quickly picks up a small plastic bottle from the ground. No explosions in the house. Bad child. Bad. The old witch exclaims angrily, spraying me with water like I'm some kind of animal. Enough. Stop it. I exclaim, trying to cover myself in vain before quickly getting down from the table and taking a seat again, crossing my arms now with my slightly soaked clothes. Have you calmed down yet? The old hag asks in a softer tone, worrying about me, but still holding the damn water spray menacingly. At this, I grit my teeth in frustration and look away. It's not fair, I whisper, clenching my fists, as a feeling of helplessness spreads through my entire body. I also want to be called an Aichin and enjoy that happiness that the nerd shares with his little brother. Sniff. I also want to feel special. I whisper, unaware of my words, causing my parents to share a strange smile with each other. My face quickly turns red with embarrassment. You know what, to hell with everything. Being an only child is fucking frustrating. I exclaimed, starting to run to my room, as my tears threatened to spill out. If you guys don't give me a little brother, then I'll get one myself. I exclaimed angrily, slamming my bedroom door with a loud bang. Why can't Samu just be my little brother instead of the stupid nerd's little brother? I am better than him. I have a powerful quirk. I will be the next #1 hero. It's so unfair. Now I only have one option. I'll do my best to get Samu to call me an Aichin. Even if I have to put up with the company of the nerd. Then I'll become a much better big brother than him and show everyone that I'm the best. I can't let anyone find out about my master plan, never. However, this plan is not cheap, so I will need chocolates and cookies, lots of cookies. Then the years passed and many things happened. It wasn't too hard to get Samu to recognize me, however. The little devil called me BAKA an Aichin, and it didn't matter how many times I threatened to blow him up. I'm pretty sure he's doing it on purpose. So I ended up accepting the damn nickname, even though it offended me a lot. However, if anyone other than the brat even dared to call me that, there would be no mercy for that unfortunate soul. Over time I also realized that the brat hides many secrets and is more intelligent than he appears. It turns out that shortly after he enrolled in my school, several teachers were fired, and conveniently those teachers had belittled or ignored the nerd. Even our school principal tenses up whenever the brat is around. That's not fucking normal. And I'm sure the nerd knows it. That's why he works hard every day, getting good grades in school, doing his boring hero analysis, and arduously training his body, still clinging to his stupid dream of becoming a hero. But it doesn't matter how hard he trains. It doesn't matter how hard he tries. He will never be able to become a hero, let alone be able to keep his little brother safe. That responsibility is now in my hands. Time later and back to the present, I would realize how fucking wrong I was. Smash, the nerd exclaimed at the top of his lungs, unleashing a powerful and destructive stream of air through his damn finger in the direction of Child Emperor. But what the hell is going on? The fucking nerd is supposed to be quirkless. At that moment, Child Emperor nonchalantly stretched out a hand forward, causing his mechanical wings to spread forward, thus forming a damn metal barrier in front of him before the powerful impact. Yeah. Let's play hero and villain. He he exclaimed happily, accompanied with an irritating laugh, being pushed back slightly as a result of the powerful air current that impacted against his mechanical wings. "You guys don't get involved," the intangible boy exclaims, running several meters ahead of me in Child Emperor's direction, before taking a deep breath and sinking to the pavement beneath him, disappearing without a trace. My mind works at full speed to keep from falling apart, desperately trying to comprehend everything that is happening around me before another scream from the nerd reaches my ears. The cry charged with numerous emotions: fear, anger, pain, and above all determination, a determination to protect something very important. "I will protect my little brother," he exclaimed, followed by another powerful blast of air shot from his fingers, causing Child Emperor to slide backward a bit, with his visibility partially affected. I briefly glance at the nerd's figure in the distance. He is breathing heavily with wide eyes, as he tightly grips his trembling right hand pointing in Child Emperor's direction. Two of his damn fingers are visibly purple, possibly fractured due to his strange and destructive power, a power that he's hidden from me all this time. But why? This is so frustrating and confusing. Damn. To hell with it. The nerd will answer all my questions one way or another after I kick this fucking villain's ass. Therefore, I grit my teeth and continue running towards Child Emperor, circling him and quickly approaching his right side, taking advantage of the blind spot generated by the powerful gusts of air, which greatly affect his visibility. I know exactly what is at stake. Behind Child Emperor and being suspended high in the air by a robotic tentacle, is a Samu completely immobilized and helpless. Seeing him in that situation makes all my blood boil with anger, while several fleeting memories invade my mind. "Thank you for the chocolates, BAKA Naichin. The Samu-kun is also your responsibility. You did know, right? Kakin, this fort is great. Hahaha. We are like the Three Musketeers. What fun. Thank you for this fantastic birthday gift, big brothers. I'm afraid, Kakin, I'm afraid that I'm not strong enough to protect Samu, so please help me protect him." Stupid nerd, as if I was going to let anything happen to the brat. "Because I will also protect our little brother." Then a couple of explosions generated from the soles of my feet allowed me to rise into the air just a few meters from Child Emperor. All this while strong determination and anger spread throughout my entire body, pointing both hands in Child Emperor's direction, before my hands began to glow brightly, ready to unleash my anger. Despite this, Child Emperor's attention remains focused on the nerd in the distance, completely belittling me and dismissing me as a threat to him. A big mistake for him. This is my opportunity. The opportunity to show the world how strong I am. The beginning of the story of the future #1 hero. Go to the. My battle cry was cut short when a small boxing glove slammed into my stomach, forcing the air from my lungs, and crashing me to the ground with a loud crash, not even giving me a chance to unleash my attack. Kakin. The nerd's worried scream reaches my ears, making me feel powerless and weak, while I'm lying on the ground miserably, staring at the city's night sky with wide eyes in complete shock, trying to catch my breath. What the hell just happened? I didn't even have time to react. Damn. This cannot be happening. My vision slowly begins to darken as despair, fear, and helplessness spread throughout my aching body. I must not give up. I'm supposed to be the next one hero and surpass All Might. I'm supposed to protect Samu. And yet a single blow was enough to put me in this situation. No matter how hard I try, my body refuses to move, while I fight to stay conscious, hearing small footsteps around me, along with an annoying giggle before Child Emperor placed his damn foot on my chest, demonstrating his superiority. Never in my life have I felt so humiliated. Then Child Emperor's next words completely destroyed my worldview. Some words that I will never forget. Because it was a truth that I refused to accept until now. "You are weak." And with those devastating words, the darkness completely consumed me. Now I realized that I was never strong. The one who was really strong was Yuzuku. POV Samu. Today numerous professional heroes tried to stop me, and even a couple of them tried to assassinate me, but in the end, they all ended up under my little feet. I hum happily, watching the unconscious Bakugo under my foot, as my boxing glove slowly returns to my backpack, and my mechanical wings settle behind me again. Sorry to burst your bubble, little Bakugo, but it's necessary for my evil plans. This humiliating defeat will teach him a valuable lesson, which will allow him to eventually become stronger and become a worthy opponent for me. Although I must admit that I felt some satisfaction when I saw Bakugo's expression, realizing the harsh reality. A reality in which he is just a small fish in a large pond full of hungry sharks. At this, a predatory smile spreads behind my gas mask, directing my gaze in the direction of the most reckless person in this entire playground. In the distance and pointing at me with his trembling hand with two visibly fractured fingers, is my older brother, Izuku, gritting his teeth and looking at me with daggers in his eyes. My future nemesis. The future will certainly be a lot of fun. However, the control that Izuku currently has over the One for All is still very poor, not to mention the disaster of his teacher. All Might is simply not qualified to teach. Even so, Izuku managed to creatively use his quirk without fracturing his arms, deciding to fracture his fingers instead. That was very cool and reckless. Therefore, I need to instill in my brother some self-preservation instinct. Otherwise, I will become an only child before I reach high school. Little hero one-ups, did you really think you could stop me, even though many professional heroes with many years of experience failed to do so? I asked mockingly, menacingly holding a stun blaster in my hands. What an innocent and cliched thought. I exclaimed happily, quickly aiming my blaster at the unconscious Bikugo under my foot, before pulling the trigger without hesitation. Immediately after, a yellow current hits Bikugo's chest, causing small spasms in his unconscious body, and thus ensuring that he remains unconscious. After all, it would be very troublesome if Bikugo abruptly woke up and gained a power-up. I've seen enough anime and movies to be aware of that. This is not a generic shonen anime. Flashbacks and the power of friendship won't work against me. I exclaimed, puffing out my chest with pride, as a crooked grin spreads behind my gas mask. I have served my purpose of demonstrating the clear difference in power between them and me. Therefore, I'll get this over with quickly before Izuku ends up seriously injuring himself. It's time for my reckless older brother to take a nap. Because the protagonist of this incredible and chaotic story. Now it's me. I exclaimed at the top of my lungs in glee, quickly aiming my stun blaster in Izuku's direction before pulling the trigger. However, like something out of an action movie, a kick emerges from the ground quickly, and kicks my blaster hard, causing the stun shot aimed at Izuku to miss by a few inches, before my weapon goes flying out of my hands. Lemillion had suddenly emerged from the ground just inches from me. Instantly, my boxing glove unfurled from my backpack at full speed and passed harmlessly through Lemillion's chest, due to his intangibility quirk activating. For this reason, I didn't want to get too close to him. At this short distance, the difference in size between us is evident, which is why I crossed my arms protectively over my head by mere instinct, activating and forming a small but resistant transparent hexagonal shield, while a powerful fist was directed toward me. Power. Lemillion exclaims at the top of his lungs with a determined look on his face, before his intangible fist passes harmlessly through my hex shield, and hits me hard, desperately trying to knock me out quickly. Lemillion's powerful fist slammed into my cheeky yellow skull hat, which is part of my amazing supervillain outfit. At first glance, it is a skull hat generally used by primary school children, but obviously, this is not just any skull hat. One of his functions is to play on the psychology of my unfortunate opponents, causing them to have a moral conflict by trying to fight a small child. Another of his functions is obviously to protect my head, and that is why this skull hat is made of a special highly resistant alloy. Although much of the impact was cushioned by my skull hat, the powerful impact still caused me to be sent abruptly flying backward with a severe headache. All this while I was losing my skull hat, which flew off in another direction with some minor damage before its programming caused little robotic extensions to quickly emerge from it. Your quirk is amazing. Hahaha. I exclaimed happily with some degree of admiration before crashing into the ground at high speed in the distance, causing me to roll uncontrollably across the ground, until my mechanical wings reacted and dug into the ground, stopping instantly. Wow, that hurt a little. I mumbled, catching my breath, ignoring a couple of new bruises on my small body, along with a nagging headache. From my comfortable position lying on the ground, I can see the spectacular symbol of Hydra adorning the sky of the city, causing a small evil smile to spread behind my gas mask before standing up again. You'll need something stronger than a punch to try to stop Emi Hero. I hum proudly, pointing my thumb at myself. In the distance, Izuku grips his trembling arm tightly, pointing his finger at me menacingly and narrowing his eyes in my direction, sizing me up carefully before abruptly closing his eyes and shaking his head. Meanwhile, Lemillion grits his teeth in frustration, massaging the knuckles of his right hand. I told you guys not to get involved. Lemillion mutters with a conflicted look on his face, quickly focusing his attention on Izuku's fractured fingers, before looking at an unconscious Kakin on the ground inches from him. My little brother is in danger. We couldn't just sit around doing nothing. Izuku shakily exclaims before gritting his teeth and wincing in pain. It's practically their fault. Using the power of friendship and love to take on me is a mistake. A mistake that I take advantage of to teach them a lesson. Bayaka. While all this was happening, my skull hat moved rapidly across the ground, avoiding any obstacle, thanks to the help of its robotic extensions, until it eventually stopped at my feet like an obedient puppy. Good hat. I say, grinning cheekily, watching the robotic extensions deactivate and retract before picking up my trusty skull hat from the floor and putting it back on. If Lemillion had directly hit my head instead of my skull hat, he would have knocked me out without a doubt. So now I highly doubt he'll make the same mistake again. Going head-to-head against Lemillion right now would be unwise of me, not to mention the valuable time I'd waste in the process. Luckily, I have an ace up my sleeve. An ace up my sleeve that has been carefully watching Izuku and his companions from the darkness of the alleys for some time, ready to intervene at any moment at my signal. And I consider that this is the perfect moment for it. I can't let the cheap copy of Hercules get close to me again, so I'll keep him distracted with the peculiar playmate. It's tea time. I exclaim with great enthusiasm, spreading my arms out theatrically to the sides, as numerous spells begin to ring throughout the city, before a pair of plastic forks suddenly plunges into Lemillion's right shoulder. POV Mario hours earlier, at Sir Night-Eye's hero agency. I want to go please, I want to go with you guys. I exclaimed in a plaintive tone, waving my arms frantically in front of my mentor, Sir Night-Eye. For the umpteenth time, Mirio, the answer is no. Nezu presented valid arguments for rejecting the participation of the hero students, not to mention that the threat level of Hydra is still unknown. Sir Night-Eye responds calmly, adjusting his glasses before being interrupted by an energetic bubble girl. Exactly. What kind of example would we be if we sent inexperienced students to the battlefield? That would be unacceptable. Bubble girl quickly exclaims, crossing her arms in front of her and fervently shaking her head. The big leagues will take care of dismantling Hydra, so don't worry, Mirio-kun. She says, puffing out her chest with pride. But with my quirk, I may be able to infiltrate Hydra's secret base undetected. I can be very useful, I promise I won't get in trouble. I exclaim desperately. I don't want to be left behind, I want to be useful and prove my worth. I will save as many as I can. My decision is irrevocable. You will stay and support the Musatafu Police Department, along with other hero students. Listen well, Mirio, in case the worst happens, you will be part of the last line of defense. He says seriously, placing his hand on my shoulder and causing my eyes to widen in surprise. I trust you. He says, looking into my eyes intently before I subconsciously nod. Right after, he turns around and starts to walk away from me. That sounded very murky and dramatic. Bubble girl chuckles slightly, covering her arms and legs in bug spray. There's nothing to worry about, it will be like a field day, plus I am excited to explore the forest and defeat those evil villains. She says energetically with a sharky smile. After all, Mirio-kun, with Nezu, David's shield, and Sir Night-Eye on our side, nothing can go wrong. She exclaims with great enthusiasm, sticking her thumb up in my direction with a beaming smile. Those words caused a strange sinking sensation to spread through my body, while in the distance I could see Night-Eye shudder slightly. Shortly after, I watched Sir Night-Eye, Bubble Girl, and many of the other heroes that make up the agency leaves. The last line of defense, I whisper contemplatively, looking down at my hands before clenching my fists tight. Back to the present. If I had known what would happen, I would never have allowed them to leave for that uncertain destination. Child Emperor is without a doubt chaos incarnate. The sound of numerous spells echoes throughout, while a small warm wet spot smears my hero outfit right on my right shoulder, where two plastic forks now stick out. This sudden attack took me by surprise, so I wasn't able to activate my quirk in time. 1,000,000. Are you okay? Izuku exclaims with concern in his voice, running towards me before a small knife used mainly for spreading butter suddenly crashes to the ground right in front of him, halting his progress. As a hero, I can't allow civilians to get involved in this kind of dangerous situation, and I'm currently failing miserably at it. I even failed Tamaki. However, I had promised little Isamu that I would protect him, and I won't break that promise. I will save them all. I'm fine, I don't plan on giving up without rescuing your little brother first, so stay back, Izuku. I reply seriously, taking a couple of steps back on high alert, while my gaze quickly scans the surroundings for the source of these attacks, to no avail. Whatever it is obviously related to Child Emperor. Given this, I take my hand to my right shoulder, and with a quick and decisive movement, I remove both forks that were embedded in my shoulder. Enough of games. I growl, narrowing my eyes in Child Emperor's direction, before forcefully crushing both lightly bloodstained plastic forks with my hand. I am the last line of defense, I will not allow him to continue unleashing chaos. With my next attack, I will definitely knock him out and end his reign of terror. Don't look at me like that, I'm just a misunderstood child. Child Emperor shamelessly hums in the distance, swaying innocently on himself before beginning to hum his strange song, a song that I heard minutes before as a prelude to chaos. London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. Child Emperor hums happily, as the sound of the bells grows louder, making me shudder. London Bridge is falling down, he hums slowly pointing his finger down a dark alleyway in the distance not far from me, before the pealing of bells stops abruptly. My breath quickens and the anticipation builds within me as I narrow my eyes toward the dark alley, preparing myself for whatever this little monster might unleash. My fair lady. My eyes widen in surprise as I hear a sinister voice coming from the darkness of the alley, before suddenly a strange umbrella emerged from the darkness and flew towards me at high speed. Another villain, I do not have time to lose. With my quirk, any attack will pass through me harmlessly, giving me the opportunity to counterattack and put an end to this nightmare once and for all power. However, for some strange reason my quirk didn't activate. As a consequence, the strange umbrella opened right in front of me before impact, causing a strange elastic force to crash into me and send me flying at high speed into a building in the distance. Focus. Breathe and focus. Although still in shock, I took a short breath, and with much difficulty managed to activate my quirk for a few seconds, allowing me to pass through the building without getting hurt, before eventually crashing to the ground with a force. My breathing is erratic and my whole body aches. I landed in a strange alley a few streets from Izuku and Child Emperor, for which I must return as quickly as possible. At this, I clench my fists with determination and slowly stand up, swaying a little from side to side. The unmistakable sound of approaching footsteps reaches my ears from the end of the alley, before a figure begins to become visible through the darkness. Without a doubt, this is a dangerous member of Hydra. If you want to get close to Bakken, you'll have to defeat me first, little hero. he proclaims in a dashing English accent, wearing an outlandish outfit along with a strange mask covering his face, before being theatrically illuminated by a spotlight suspended in midair. Then a girl's voice echoed through the alley, while a small figure leaped between the nearby rooftops holding a video camera. Justice versus evil. Evil versus justice. With Lemillion representing the heroes and Gentle Criminal representing Hydra. A battle of wills is about to begin. But first, subscribe to our channel on EmperorTube. What the hell is happening here? POV third person months ago. Inside a classic apartment, Danjiro Tobita aka Gentle Criminal takes a sip of tea and watches his loyal henchman intently. Surrounded by numerous screens and rapidly typing on a computer is Minami Ipe, also known as La Brava. Do you think this is really a good idea, La Brava? Gentle Criminal asks uncertainly. The video of our last heist barely had a dozen views before the police removed it, and our account on that video platform was permanently banned again. He snorts with a sad little smile, thinking about how few views his videos have been getting the past few weeks, before taking another sip of tea. Those silly mainstream video platforms don't understand your art, La Brava exclaims passionately. But you don't have to worry, recently a new video platform has been causing a stir on the networks. And right now I'm finishing registering our new channel on it, she says with a determined smile, raising her right hand in the air before swinging it in the direction of her keyboard gracefully and epically pressing the click, thus finishing the registration of their new channel. A new beginning awaits us. Channel created successfully. Welcome to EmperorTube. POV Gentle Criminal video uploaded successfully. That certainly was fast. I mumble, eyeing this website with interest through the many screens around me before sitting down next to La Brava, who just posted my latest heist on this new video platform. You have done well, my lady. I thank her with a comforting and elegant smile. Ever since she became my loyal sidekick in my criminal career, she has done everything possible to help me fulfill my dream. Even when our videos don't have the success that I expected, she stays by my side, and I appreciate that a lot. Gentle, you don't have to thank me, I'm the one who should be thanking you, she whispers, focusing her gaze on the computer in front of her with a slight blush on her cheeks. You were the first person, that is all she says before being interrupted by a pop-up notification on the computer. Your video has received a private comment from an administrator. How strange, it's the first time someone commented on our videos so quickly, let alone an administrator. La Brava murmurs nervously. Maybe we broke some rule. No, that can't be possible. I made sure to read the rules of this page in detail, she murmurs in anticipation before I place my hand over hers and slowly guide the mouse pointer to the mysterious notification on the screen. Let's see where this takes us, it might be interesting. I hum with interest, clicking the notification, thus allowing the content of the message to be displayed in front of us. Congratulations. Your video caught my attention. Danjiro Tobita and Minami Ipe, if you two are so good at this, the world must be a tough place to live in, right? What? I asked, dumbfounded with my eyes wide open in surprise. This person somehow knows our identities, but that is not important in relation to the question. What do you think of your world? It's boring. It is unfair. These strange and sudden questions cause La Brava to clench her fists and lower her head, possibly remembering some fragments of her past, while I also ask myself the same question: what do I think of the world? For trying to pursue my dream, my family and friends turned their backs on me. For trying to do the right thing, I was marginalized by society. I tried, really tried, and still failed. The rules of this world only favor a few, while the rest can only watch helplessly as time goes by. The world is simply unfair. La Brava and I whispered unconsciously in unison before looking at the last part of the message. If there was a way to change the rules of the world as if it were a video game, where the rules and the objective were clear, what would you think of that? By now, I have a clear idea of who we're dealing with, so I can't help but chuckle slightly and write a short but elegant reply. In that case, little sir, that world you described would be wonderful and worthy of a fairy tale. I muttered condescendingly, slightly shaking my head before sending my reply. However, right at that moment, the screen in front of me flickers abruptly before a strange interference begins to spread across all the screens around us. I believe it too. The distorted voice of a child exclaims with great enthusiasm from the computer in front of us, where the fearsome symbol of Hydra now adorns the screen. La Brava and I quickly rise from our seats on high alert, completely confused and stunned, as intrigue and anticipation grow more and more in me. Gentle, what is happening? La Brava asks nervously, holding my hand tightly, as a purple mass quickly spreads around us. I will allow both of you to be reborn under the wing of Hydra, then we will change the rules and forge a wonderful world. The distorted childish voice is heard through all the computers, while a blinding white light completely covered us. So without hesitation and with nothing to lose, La Brava and I advanced into the unknown holding hands. Welcome to Hydra. Thus began our strange but fascinating adventure to change the rules that govern the world and record our names in the history books. All this at the whim of a child, a genius child with a great imagination capable of doing anything, a child I would eventually call Akin. Time later. Since that day a lot of interesting things have happened, and I now manage one of Hydra's many holdings, a major outpost in the middle of Musatafu City, hidden under an elegant facade. Little Bakken certainly thought of everything, and that precisely makes him extremely dangerous. However, I myself would risk my life for him without even hesitation, because he is the only person who can really change this unfair world or turn it into ashes. The sound of a small bell reaches my ears, interrupting my thoughts and warning me of the arrival of a couple of heroes at the Hydra outpost managed by me. This causes the few Hydra agents around the entire place to prepare for anything, therefore I get to work and purposefully advance toward the newcomers. The couple of heroes shouldn't be a problem, I'll take care of them quickly. After all, Little Bakken trusts me, and I don't plan to let him down. Welcome to Antiku, the best coffee shop in the city. I kindly pronounce, making a slight bow, while wearing my elegant work uniform. My uniform consists of a long-sleeved white shirt with a dark sleeveless vest, along with a scarf around my neck, while also wearing a dark apron and black pants. With this set of clothes, I am practically unrecognizable, so I can go unnoticed right in front of the heroes and the police. Behind me, 3 Hydra agents stand obediently at my command, hands behind their backs, posing as workers at this coffee shop. A table for 2 people. I order with my authoritative but gentle voice, followed by a light and sophisticated applause. Yes, sir. The 3 waiters behind me exclaim in unison with determination before beginning to diligently carry out their orders. Today we have a special discount for professional heroes on our selection of tea. May I take your orders, gentlemen? I ask with a slight smile spreading across my face. I told you this place was great. One of the heroes whispers enthusiastically to his partner with a nudge before they head to the table set for them. Unbeknownst to them, they are being monitored by the cameras and microphones that lie hidden throughout this establishment, as is the case with any hero or policeman who enters Antiku. After a few hours and after having satisfied all our guests, I return to my classic apartment. Inside I find Labrava in front of her laptop, monitoring the results of the latest videos we posted on our channel on EmperorTube videos, that turned out to be a success. At that moment, Labrava notices me and smiles in my direction with stars in her eyes. Child Emperor's tips really worked, and now we have a huge number of subscribers. This is amazing, gentle. She exclaims enthusiastically before looking at the time on a huge old wooden clock that graces my living room. Oh, I almost forgot. She murmurs with a small smile spreading across her face before quickly heading to the guest room. At this, I shake my head with amusement, hiding a small smile before heading to the center of the living room, where a glass pedestal houses a valuable book inside. The book that Little Bakken gave me when we first met, even his words full of cunning and sinister connotations, still echo in my mind. If you really want to change this twisted and unfair world, you'll need something to believe in, something to hold on to, so your resolve doesn't waver. And I'm sure this holy book will help you find that answer. I stop in front of the glass pedestal and carefully remove the book from inside, holding it as if it were treasure, as I begin to hum a tune I learned from reading this book. London Bridge is falling down, I hum slowly, observing the book in my hands with devotion. Someday, my name will also be written in a history book. Falling down, falling down. At that moment, the huge wooden clock in the living room marks midnight with the characteristic and captivating ringing of the small bell. This causes a secret compartment to emerge from the ground, revealing a magnificent and elegant outfit that Bakken replicated for me according to the specifications in this book. London Bridge is falling down during the day. I am a simple manager of the Antiku coffee shop. At night, I am gentle criminal, an extravagant villain under the orders of Hydra, who dreams of recording his name in the history books and changing the rules of this unfair world. And I will, whatever it takes. My fair lady, then, with the determination spreading through my entire body, I put the book back on its glass pedestal, and quickly initiate an elegant and epic sequence of changing clothes with firm and precise movements. Within a couple of minutes, I adjust my fancy hat on top of my head, ready to tackle whatever comes my way. Is everything ready, Labrava? I ask politely, adding a slight English accent to my tone. On the other side of the living room is Labrava in her characteristic villain outfit, looking at me with stars in her eyes, and holding a technologically advanced video camera in her hands. I am ready to walk by your side and record your name in history, she says determinedly, gracing her face with a beaming smile before pointing the camera at me and starting to record. I am gentle criminal. The VILLAIN tuber. Everyone, welcome to one more adventure. Weeks later, and back to the present. The moment that we had been waiting for so long finally arrived. The prelude to the end of an unjust era had begun, and with that our determination was tested. Young hero, allow me to apologize for my sudden attack. I don't like violent solutions, therefore, I would really appreciate it if you would give up and allow me to knock you out quickly. I promise you will feel no pain. I say politely, keeping my elegant English accent and bowing slightly apologetically. You must be kidding. The young hero known as Lemillion snarls. This will be my only and last warning. Surrender right now, villain. The other heroes and riot officers must already be about to surround this entire area, he exclaims, clenching his fists and preparing again for combat. I do not have time to lose, he mutters, narrowing his eyes at me with determination burning in his eyes. Oh, young hero, I appreciate your undeserved offer of mercy. However, unfortunately, I can't accept it. I admire your determination, and now I can't help but wonder, what color will your eyes be when your determination succumbs to mine? I hum with a crooked smile spreading across my face. And about your reinforcements, something tells me they won't arrive on time. I mutter sinisterly. Negotiations have failed. Both Lemillion and Gentle Criminal refuse to back down. Now there is only one possible outcome. La Brava announces dramatically from the safety of surrounding rooftops, recording the entire situation for our next viral video. Fight. On the outskirts of Misatafu, so is this all we're going to do? Shoto Todoroki questions monotonously, raising an eyebrow at his older brother, while his hands are covered in fresh paint. I guess so. Dabi responds with a shrug, keeping his hands in his pockets nonchalantly. When you told me that we had an important mission assigned by Child Emperor, I really thought that we would fight side by side against a powerful opponent or attack some government facility. Shoto mutters a little disappointed. When it comes to the little psychopath, nothing is as simple as it seems. Dabi snores, thinking of some theories why they were excluded from the Child Emperor's more sophisticated schemes before waving his hand dismissively. On the plus side, this can be considered a frat bonding activity. He says cheekily, ruffling his little brother's hair. I guess you are right. Shoto murmurs with a small smile spreading across his face, admiring a newly painted huge sign with his brother, while in the background, an extraordinary view of the city can be seen before a shiver runs through his body. Hydra is really terrifying, brother. And you haven't seen anything yet, Dabi whispers cryptically with a crooked smile spreading across his face. POV Namasatsukauchi, not far from Misatafu city center. My hunch was correct, the little demon was still alive and kicking, unleashing all sorts of chaos around him, while he shamelessly taunted us in the process. Part of me is relieved that the brat didn't die at Captain Celebrity's hands, while another part of me is horrified. All of us, heroes, policemen, and civilians, have been used as mere disposable toys by a very twisted and dangerous little boy, a full-blown S-rank villain, who now threatens this city with his presence. Child Emperor has been sighted not far from here. Quick, we must stop him before it's too late. Go go go. I firmly exclaimed, cautiously advancing through the streets of Misatafu in the direction of the place indicated by some riot officers, who had fled in terror from Child Emperor. I can't blame them for running away. After all, Child Emperor has decimated the raiding party made up of Japan's best heroes, and brought the hero system to the brink of collapse in just one day. Not to mention the terrifying and advanced technology developed by him, a technology that has undoubtedly caught the attention of countless scientific minds worldwide. Behind me, a group of riot police along with a few Urki heroes follow close behind, all of them exhausted and full of uncertainty, after ruthlessly suppressing much of the riot in the city. However, in the process, I lost contact with Lemillion and Sun Eater, who had taken the lead and were right in the epicenter when Child Emperor appeared. A few meters from me stands my loyal subordinate Sansa Tamakawa, tucking his police radio into his belt with a conflicted look on his face. I just received the confirmation on the radio. Detective indeed Child Emperor is up ahead, and his attention seems to be focused on a green-haired student, while he is holding another smaller student hostage. He mutters with slight beads of sweat running down his cat-like face. However, riot officers hiding around the area refuse to intervene until they receive reinforcements or heavy weapons. He growls audibly, shaking his head in disgust. Great, what was missing? A hostage situation. But why would Child Emperor focus his attention on a student? I asked myself, massaging my chin thoughtfully and remembering a certain green-haired, freckled student who saved many officers and heroes from being seriously injured, thanks to his warning. Could it be him? I mutter, reconsidering our plan of action. At this point, much of the streets of Misatafu are empty, with many abandoned vehicles and visible destruction around as if it were an apocalyptic movie. Detective, we have to save those students from Child Emperor's clutches. I'm even willing to use my secret weapon. Tamakawa whispers cryptically from behind me. The odds are high that the green-haired boy is the same one who warned us about the dangerous stinky explosion, though that doesn't explain Child Emperor's sudden interest in him. Is it possible that Child Emperor feels threatened by a mere student? Or is this some kind of his twisted games? Whatever it is, the green-haired student is now related to Child Emperor somehow, and I won't rest until I find out the truth. However, at that moment, our path was suddenly blocked by a strange group of people who gave off a menacing aura. All of them wear some kind of characteristic waiter, bartender, or even maid outfit, along with a white mask covering their faces. Without a doubt, they are members of Hydra. Everyone keep moving forward, we have no time to lose. I exclaimed, gripping my police baton tightly before quickly pointing forward. Go forward. I exclaimed at the top of my lungs, causing a rallying cry from the riot officers behind me and the rookie heroes, thus beginning a frantic and chaotic battle to reach Child Emperor. POV third person meanwhile in a dark alley. I sincerely regret having to resort to violence, little sir, but once a duel is accepted there is no going back. It is the mark of a gentleman. Gentle Criminal hums, nimbly balancing a small butter knife between the fingers of his hand. In the distance in front of him, Lemillion breathes heavily with wide eyes and completely confused, while several knives lay stuck in different parts of his body, trying to understand why his quirk failed again. It turns out that a few moments ago Lemillion had used his quirk, thus avoiding many of the small knives that were rapidly approaching him as a result of Gentle Criminal's unexpected attack. However, his quirk suddenly began to fail, causing some knives to hit their mark. Surprise. These small but elegant knives were a gift from Bakken. Curiously, the edge of these knives is made with the same alloy used in the quirk-suppressing manacles. Therefore, it only takes a small cut to affect your quirk control for a short period of time, until the effect wears off. Gentle Criminal explains, walking towards Lemillion with firm, menacing steps. In other words, young hero, the outcome of this battle was decided the moment my divine weapons were embedded in your right shoulder just before the start of our fight. He announces with a small crooked smile spreading across his face. Impossible. Lemillion snarls, clenching his teeth in frustration and doing his best to ignore the pain shooting through his body, as he takes a couple of steps back on high alert before falling to his knees. Lemillion's wounds are superficial but painful, even when Gentle Criminal avoided attacking any of his vital points. Human instinct is vulgar and mundane, in the eternal struggle of good and evil, heroes and villains, kind and insane of biased judgments and double standards. All of us live clinging to the rules imposed by this unfair society. No more. Nevermore. Gentle Criminal exclaims passionately, spreading his arms out theatrically to his sides with unwavering determination in his eyes. In the distance, Labrava watches with fascination and admiration the figure of Gentle Criminal, while she continues recording the entire situation with her advanced video camera. She knows without a doubt that once this video is edited and posted, it will trend on MHA. Gentle, as promised, I am recording your name in history. She whispers, holding the video camera tight before a small smile spreads across her face. POV Lemillion, my breathing is erratic, and my heart is beating dangerously fast after falling to my knees on the ground with little knives sticking out of different parts of my body, including my arms and legs. My body refuses to move as I desperately try to regain control of my quirk to no avail. By now, my menacing and dangerous opponent stands in front of me, looking at me intently before raising his right hand in the air. Gentle Criminal was supposed to be a harmless low-class villain. I even remember Bubble Girl laughing out loud at the videos he posted on MHA, having no idea he was actually part of Hydra. Your performance was admirable, young hero, but the real world is unfair and ruthless, where happy endings are just an illusion. Now get some sleep. He whispers, making a swift, graceful movement with his hand, smacking the back of my neck, causing me to hit the ground with a loud crash, before my vision began to blur. Since I was little, I always dreamed of becoming a hero who would never give up in the face of adversity, and would save as many people as I could, with a radiant smile on my face. Now I'm sleepy, very sleepy. Get up, a whisper reaches my ears, while I struggle to stay conscious. The voice belonged to a little boy, but not just any boy, it was my voice when I was a child. Hell, I'm possibly suffering from a concussion. Then numerous memories began to resonate in my mind. Mom, Dad. I will become a superhero and save everyone. Yeah. Tamaki. I was accepted into UA, we will be the unbeatable duo. Mirio, you are my intern, and I am not going to sugarcoat the harsh reality. Statistically speaking, it is impossible to save everyone, but it is possible to increase the success rate with hard training and dedication. Is this some kind of epiphany? Get up. My childish voice exclaims with enthusiasm resonating inside my mind. Little Asamu, do not be afraid, I will protect you. Consider it a promise. At this, my eyes go wide, and I reflexively reach forward with my hand, grabbing my attacker's foot tightly. Oh young hero, you continue to hold on to your determination despite the circumstances. How elegant of you, without a doubt, you are the kind of hero that I once aspired to be. He whispers with a small sad smile on his face, before slowly raising his hand in the air again. There are still many things I don't understand. I mutter, coughing up some blood and trying to control my breathing. Maybe I'm just an airhead, but I promised a kid I'd protect him. I mutter, squeezing my opponent's foot hard before looking him square in the eye. And I plan to keep that promise. I firmly declare with determination burning in my gaze before a bright smile spreads across my face. Gamber. Because I am a hero. I exclaimed, finally activating my quirk with difficulty, which allowed me to sink to the ground quickly and leave behind the small knives that were embedded in my body. Immediately after, I burst out of the ground with all my might, extending my fist in the direction of my opponent's face, with a loud battle cry where my voice intertwines with the small voice inside my head. And heroes never give up. Then my fist slammed into Gentle Criminal's face, sending him flying towards a wall in the distance. However, I highly doubt that this is enough to defeat him. I can barely stand up and control my quirk. Detective Sand, please hurry up, the Midoriya brothers need a hero. And that concludes this episode. If you enjoyed it, I'd seriously love it if you leave a like on the video, as it helps me with the YouTube algorithm, and it keeps me going, plus it's free. But if you disliked it, smash that dislike button twice to be sure and comment down below the reason why. And as always guys, have a wonderful day. Hail Hydra.